What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 2BD. Chapter 26. Robin was terrified and saw Dover for the first time. Advertisement. Jahahaha. Lousy's luck is really good, and he ran into a team of Marines, indicating that the Devil's Son should be on this island. Jahahaha. On the approaching pirate ship, a sturdy, full-faced, scarred face with a big knife, he laughed wildly as soon as he saw the Marine warship. His name is Targus, nicknamed Murder, and a reward of 75 million Baileys. He is the most prestigious and powerful pirate in this sea area. Killer, Targus. On the warship, the Marines recognized Targus and immediately caused a commotion. Targus, just like his nickname, is an extremely vicious pirate, who kills without blinking an eye. He once murdered hundreds of people in one go, and his fame was circulated in naval headquarters. Captain Daly, what should we do? The faces of the Marines couldn't help showing panic. Facing the violent Targus pirates, they could not be opponents. Captain Dolly is a lean and capable Marine, otherwise he would not have been entrusted with the important task of hunting down the son of the devil by the Marines' senior management. However, facing Targus, who is known for his brutality, his heart is also tight. If it were normal, after weighing the strength gap between the two sides, he would definitely turn around and flee without hesitation. Afterwards, it would not be too late to summon enough manpower to come back and find a place. But today, Captain Dolly can't take a step back anyway. Because he can be sure that the woman who has been hunted by the world government for 15 years is hiding on the island behind him. Tigers. Dolly spoke in a deep voice, staring at the grinning brutal pirate who was already only a few meters away from his warship. You'd better think clearly, that woman is a catastrophe. All the organizations that hide her so far, without exception, have been destroyed by the government. Are you sure you want to be the enemy of the whole world? Hearing Dolly's intimidation, Targus laughed wildly, his eyes gleaming fiercely. Advertisement. Stupid Marine, as long as Lousy kills you all here, who will know that Lousy is hiding the son of the devil? Little ones, kill all these stupid Marines for Lousy. Oh, kill all the Marines, kill them all. Targus's men immediately screamed wildly. Captain Dolly's complexion immediately became extremely ugly. He didn't expect Targus to have an abacus to kill all the Marines present. But at this point, he has nothing to do. He can only lead the seamen on board far fewer than the pirates to fight to the death with the Targus pirates. On the island, Robin, hiding under the tree, watched this scene quietly. Except for the change in her eyes when Dolly said the word catastrophe, the rest of the time seemed quite calm. In 15 years of escape, she has seen too many pirates fighting with Marine in front of her, and too many people who want to use her like Targus. Although the fight before him was bloody, with pirates or Marines screaming and falling into the sea from time to time, Robin was able to do it without any disturbance, as if watching two mad dogs biting. Depending on the situation, Targus, the more ferocious dog, should win. Robin had already planned in his heart, and he would join the Targus pirates later. Anyway, Targus is destined to die in the near future. Either he was killed by the world government, or he was killed by a pirate who had long been eyeing her and whose strength was far from Targus's level. Robin was thinking that it's better to end this fight quickly, so as not to delay his reading time. However, without warning, a man's voice that had never been heard suddenly sounded behind her. Hey, I've watched a lot of scenes like this, and I will inevitably feel bored, Nico. Robin. Robin was shocked immediately. The heart seemed to fall into the abyss for an instant, sinking straight. Advertisement. Years of escape has allowed her to develop the habit of maintaining maximum vigilance at all times. But just now, she didn't even notice that someone was approaching behind her. Is the opponent's footsteps too light and is covered by the sound of fighting in the port? No, it's definitely not the reason. It was clearly the opponent's strength, far above him, so he couldn't even notice it. After understanding this, even with Robin's ability to withstand, thinking of his own life at this time, he is already in control of the terrible man behind him, who even doesn't even know his face, and his fear hidden deep in his heart, it will spread uncontrollably. But what she experienced was just a few seconds later, Robin calmed down. Which big person, condescending to see the little girl? Robin asked in his unique intellectual voice, without even looking back. Because she knows that if the other party does not want her to see it, even if she uses the fruit power, she might not be able to see the other party's clothes. Robin, who became a doctor at the age of 8, is obviously a very smart woman. Hey. The man's voice got closer, and the strange laughter made Robin's heart tremble. As expected of the legendaries and of the devil, Robin, you really are an unusual woman. The man finally stood beside Robin, and Robin could almost feel the substantive gaze on her face. Robin couldn't help being curious. She tilted her head slightly imperceptibly, wanting to know the sacred man beside her. The next moment, Robin's beautiful eyes matched a pair of deep black eyes that she would never forget. It's you, Robin shouted almost silently. 7 Warlords of the Sea. Donquixote Doflamingo. *. Chapter 27 Dover. Advertisement. It's you. 7 Warlords of the Sea. Donquixote Doflamingo. Robin looked at him in shock. The man who was tall and handsome with a wicked smile on his face was indescribable. No matter how indifferent and calm her character is, facing this super big pirate that the world government has to succumb to, her heart jumps wildly. Robin heard of Dover's name a long time ago. In order to become Shichibukai, this man hijacked the heavenly gold enshrined by celestial dragons and threatened the world government. However, the world government has succumbed. Why would such a new world figure find himself? Well, it seems that you know me, that would save you from introducing yourself. Dover looked at Robin up and down with a hint of surprise. After all, this is an important figure in the protagonist group in the future. But from this moment on, Robin's destiny is destined to change drastically. Because he, Doflamingo, fell in love with this woman. Well, do you think this scene is too boring? Dover who repeated it, the first question. Robin didn't know how to answer for a while, and her heart was filled with too many doubts at this time, let alone what this man would do with herself. Robin used the word disposal in her heart because she understood that in front of this person, she could no longer escape from marine or other forces as smoothly as before. Just because this man, and those people, are not on the same level. Seeing that Robin didn't speak, Dover didn't care, he knew he should give the woman some time to buffer. Dover looked bored at the battle in the harbor. The battle between the Targus pirates and the marine led by Captain Dolly has entered a white-hot stage. There was a real fire on both sides, and no fewer than a dozen people have died. Damn, let Lousy die quickly. Advertisement. It has been so long that this team of marines has not been resolved, making Targus extremely angry. He shouted angrily, raised the sword high, and then fell sharply. Clang. Captain Dolly blocked the heavy knife with difficulty, his arms numb. There was despair in his heart. Targus's strength exceeded his estimate, and if he continued to fight, he would be beheaded by the opponent sooner or later. Hey, if this continues, this group of marines will be killed. Dover glanced at the woman beside him again. Robin let out a breath. She had encountered something worse than this, so after a brief period of extreme shock, she forced herself to calm down. At least, she can basically be sure now that Doflamingo, the man who is rumored to be quite terrifying, is not here to kill her. Robin returned to his usual calmness, even showing a charming smile. Why, Lord Dover, do you want to save these seamen? Robin, who is clever ice and snow, didn't ask why Dover came to her, and even the name Dover was changed to the natural, Master Dover. She has been on the run since she was 8 years old, and her career in the dark world for more than 10 years has already polished her extremely smooth. Flattery, deceit, allegiance, betrayal, are all her disguise to protect herself. Ha ha ha. Dover laughed meaningfully. Of course I want to save. After all, I am Seven Warlords of the Sea, the one who is on the side of the government. Robin pursed her mouth and smiled. Obviously she would not believe that a man like Dover would really be loyal to the world government. However, it depends on the person whether to save the seaman before it becomes a corpse or after it becomes a corpse. Hey. With a grin on Dover's face that made Robin's heart cold, he took out a phone worm. Robin looked over curiously, his face changed immediately when he saw the signal from Dover. That's Marine's phone bug signal. What exactly is he going to do? Toot. Advertisement. The phone worm is connected. A majestic old man's voice came from the microphone. The old man is Sengoku. What's the matter? Fight. Sengoku. Martial Marine. Sengoku. Robin's eyes widened suddenly and looked at the man in front of him incredulously. Call Martial Marine Sengoku. Is he crazy? Even if he is the powerful Seven Warlords of the Sea, who is Sengoku? That's the apex of Marine, and the status is still above the 3 Admiral, Marine's highest combat power. However, an even more incomprehensible scene happened to Robin. I saw Dover smiled lowly. It's me, Sengoku. As soon as he finished speaking, the breathing sound of the phone worm immediately became thicker. There was a crisp click, and I don't know if the person on the phone bug knocked down something. ... At the same time, Marineford, Sengoku in the marshal's office, just accidentally broke his cup. The guard who made the office stand guard looked over in amazement. Marshal Sengoku, but I have never made such a low-level mistake. Could it be that the call caused the marshal to lose his attitude? The guard was about to eavesdrop on who the Marshal Sama was talking on the phone, but Sengoku suddenly ordered, get out and close the door. The guard shuddered immediately, closing the door hurriedly, and fleeing. The Marshal became angry, but it was extremely frightening. However, the guards were still very curious. Who could make Marshal Sengoku, who has always been amiable, so full of anger? Inside the house, Sengoku suppressed the anger in his heart. He never expected that heavenly Yaksha, who had blackmailed him more than 1 billion Baileys and made Garp and Crane disgraced, even dared to call him. Do you really think he is a Buddha, so he won't get angry? Just as Sengoku was about to yell at Dover, a voice suddenly came out from the microphone that made him stun for an instant. Sengoku, I have another business to talk to you now. How about 13 surviving Marines in exchange for 1.3 billion Baileys? I'm a young businessman, and I don't have a slight price increase since last time. Asterisk. Chapter 28 Shameless Blackmailer, Sengoku is about to explode. Advertisement. Sengoku, I have another business to discuss with you now. How about 13 surviving Marines in exchange for 1.3 billion Baileys? I'm a young businessman, and I don't have a slight price increase since last time. When Robin heard these words, he couldn't help but smiled. This smile was purely from the heart, completely different from the disguise just now, charming, enough to eclipse Baihua. Robin hurriedly covered her red lips with her hands. How could she show such a defenseless smile in front of this dangerous and terrifying man? However, Robin still couldn't hide the weirdness in his eyes. Doflamingo. This is obviously blackmailing Marshal Marine Sengoku, right? 100 million Baileys in exchange for the life of a marine, he really dared to ask for a price. And, listening to him, it seems that Sengoku has already been blackmailed like this once, which is incredible. The other end. Sengoku was pulling his ears, wondering if he had just heard it wrong. That damn it's heavenly Yaksha, wants to blackmail himself in the same way. But soon, Sengoku reacted. He heard that right, that damn it heavenly Yaksha actually came to blackmail again. The indescribable anger filled Sengoku's chest for an instant. He was angry, an unprecedented anger. This shameless heavenly Yaksha is simply blackmailed and addicted to it. Do you really think he, martial marine, is muddled? Doflamingo. Sengoku suppressed his violent anger and tried to maintain his martial marine's demeanor. You had better let go of those seamen, otherwise, even if you make trouble with celestial dragons this time, the old man will arrest you. After speaking, the anger in Sengoku's chest was slightly relieved. He has already made his words clear, and it depends on the arrogant heavenly Yaksha, whether he has the courage to completely tear his face with him, martial marine. However, Dover's next words stunned Sengoku again. Hehehehe, Sengoku, you are so excited, this is not your style. Advertisement. Sengoku couldn't help being even more annoyed. The old man was excited. Isn't it because you are a shameless blackmailer? Even the true Buddha had to go to heaven in the face of 2 consecutive blackmails. But Sengoku, there is one thing you said wrong. Those marines are not in my hands. They are fighting a pirate named, like Targus. Hey, it looks like they are about to be caught by the Targus pirate. Tuan rushed to death. Sengoku, I just called you because I was kind. Otherwise, your lovely subordinates will be dead. Sengoku was stunned. It's not Doflamingo who wants to kill the seamen, but the Targus pirates. Targus, Sengoku has heard of this name, is an extremely cruel pirate in East Blue. It's just that this is a side word of Doflamingo, how can Sengoku easily believe it? But then, he had to believe it. Because of the phone bug, the screams of the marines came. Ah, damn it's Targus pirates, lousy fights with you. Tigers, are you really going to fight marine? Even if you kill us, Marshal Sengoku will not let you go. Quote. The screams of the marines made Sengoku feel nervous. Especially the last voice was the voice of Captain Dolly, whom Sengoku values more. There is no doubt that it was indeed the Targus pirates who were fighting against marine. And listening to the desperate tone of Captain Dolly's words, the situation of the marines is not optimistic. Sengoku's face changed, becoming as black as the bottom of a pot. Doflamingo, what do you want? Ha ha ha. In the microphone, damn it laughed that made Sengoku gritted his teeth. Sengoku, I started to say very clearly. You ask the nearest marine base to send the money, and I will save these poor marines, otherwise. Foo foo foo. The cold smile made Sengoku no doubt, as long as he didn't agree to give the money, the B*********** D Doflamingo would never care about marines' life or death. Whole. Advertisement. Shameless blackmailer. Hateful sea hooligan. Sengoku scolded Dover in his heart. But it didn't take long for Sengoku to sit in a chair with the discouraged ball. The screams in the phone bug were getting smaller and smaller. Obviously, Captain Dolly and other marines could not support it for long. In the end, Sengoku agreed to Dover's terms. But before hanging up, Sengoku said viciously. Heavenly Yaksha, this is the last time, so do it yourself. But only in exchange for Dover's more arrogant laugh. Hang up, Sengoku noodles are like pork liver. He is dignified martial marine. He was blackmailed twice in a row, but he couldn't even touch the other side's hair. Sengoku didn't care much about the 2 billion Baileys being blackmailed. What he cares about is his own face, Marine's face. If things go on like this, how will Marine's majesty exist? Boom. There was a loud noise. The Marines who walked into the Marshal's office to clean up the next day were surprised to find that the desk that Marshal Sama had just changed was torn apart again. East Blue, on a desert island. Dover hung up the phone and glanced at the woman who had been watching him. How? This scene is much more interesting than what you just watched, right? What else can Robin say? Her heart at this time is nothing but awe, shock, and a trace of awe. This man, even Marshal Marine dared to blackmail twice, what else did he dare not do? Master Dover, Robin said sincerely, compared with you, the little girl is beyond your reach. Asterisk. Chapter 29 Virgo who came to give money. Advertisement. The battle at the port has reached its final stage. 13 Marines are still struggling at the end. Jayahaha, let lousy die. Seeing that Captain Dolly was at the end of the crossbow, Targus gave a frantic laugh and slashed with the knife. The speed of this split was extremely fast, and Captain Dolly couldn't react to the limit of his body. If nothing else, his person will be cut in half by this knife. There was despair in Captain Dolly's eyes and closed his eyes. Jayahaha. Targus laughed wildly, swinging his broadsword even faster. But when the broadsword was about to slash Captain Dolly's waist, Targus suddenly seemed to be frozen, and his movements suddenly stopped. I'm not dead. Captain Dolly opened his eyes suspiciously. Immediately, he was shocked to find that the great pirate Targus who almost killed him was unable to control his body like a marionette, and his face showed endless horror. Not only Targus, Captain Dolly also discovered that all the pirates of the Targus pirate group were motionless, and seemed to be controlled at the same time. What the hell? What happened? Captain Dolly's heart was filled with horror and chill. This scene is too terrifying. Hey hee hee hee. A sound that seemed to sound from the abyss came from the shore. Captain Dolly turned his head and looked away subconsciously. That is, a tall and stalwart figure was imprinted in his eyes, involuntarily awe-inspiring. After seeing the appearance of the figure, Captain Dolly's muscles stiffened. That's Seven Warlords of the Sea, Donquixote Doflamingo. Advertisement. No wonder, Targus and everyone in the Targus pirate group were controlled. No wonder, Targus, who has always been arrogant and cruel, has such endless panic on his face. It turns out that this man is here. Captain Dolly was very clear that the man in front of him was far from them on the same level. That is an existence that only Lord Admiral and even Marshal Sengoku can deal with. But why did Doflamingo save them, these seamen? Captain Dolly would not be naive to think that it was 7 warlords of the sea, and he would definitely help Marine. But Captain Dolly didn't ask, he didn't have the guts to speak in front of this man full of supreme haki. Dover stood lazily on the shore. The 5 fingers moved lightly at will, and everyone in the Targus pirates, including the Captain Targus, uncontrollably turned their weapons at their necks. No. Don't kill me. Lord Heavenly Yaksha, Targus yelled in horror, his nose and tears bursting out together. He who was just arrogant and arrogant just now looked like a poor worm. If he hadn't been controlled by Dover, he must be kneeling on the ground now, kowtow desperately to Dover for mercy. Master Heavenly Yaksha, I am willing to surrender to you. I am willing to honor all these robbed treasures to you. Just beg you to let me go and spare my little dog's life, Master Heavenly Yaksha. Targus yelled hysterically. Even Captain Dolly, who was almost killed by him, couldn't help but feel sympathy. However, Dover didn't even move his eyelids. He was like a high god, ruling the life and death of mortals, with a loose and indifferent expression. Robin, hiding behind Dover, inevitably sighed in his heart. Targus, who was so fierce and mighty in this sea, wanted to hide himself before, and was obviously an ambitious pirate. But in the eyes of the man in front of him, it was no different from an ant, and he didn't even have the qualifications to give him a second look. It was such an indifferent, arrogant, and terrifying man who found himself in a remote place. What is he doing by himself? Although Robin had already planned to be used by others, she still couldn't understand Dover's thoughts. Robin just vaguely felt that Dover found himself. I am afraid it is not as simple as just using. However, at the port, no matter how pitifully Targus pleaded, his big knife that had killed at least 100 people was eventually cut to his neck. Advertisement. Thump. The head fell to the ground in the corpse branch house. Dover clapped his hands, as if he had done a trivial thing, and smiled at Robin behind him. There are too many such idiots in this world. The future is the era of real pirates, Robin. Robin's heart shook slightly. The era of real pirates. Does it mean the era when a big man like Dover can survive? Robin meditated on Dover's words. On the warship. Captain Dolly reluctantly stood up. He dared not ask why Dover wanted to save him. He was afraid that if he talked too much, the legendary Heavenly Yaksha, who had an uncertain temperament, would kill himself at will. He had no doubt that Dover would not care about his marine status at all. Captain Dolly and the remaining 12 seamen huddled in the corner, staring at each other. Dover said nothing. They didn't dare to leave. As for searching for Nico Robin, the son of the devil, at this moment, they have forgotten about it. After half an hour, a huge marine warship, coming from sea level. There was joy on Captain Dolly's face. He recognized the flag on the warship, which was the ship of Vice Admiral, the nearest marine base chief, Virgo. Since Virgo Vice Admiral has arrived, our lives are finally saved. Captain Dolly has heard of Virgo's deeds. It is said that he is not only outstanding in strength, but also a rare and kind man. Captain Dolly and the remaining marines all greeted them excitedly. However, they did not notice that there was also a wicked smile on Dover's face on the island. Sengoku. As expected, Virgo was sent. Dover asked Sengoku to send money to the nearest marine base earlier because he knew that the base was now in charge of Virgo. If Sengoku learns that not only has he extorted 1 billion Baileys from Dover again, but the person who sent the money is Dover's undercover in Marine, I am afraid that he will be directly angry with the cerebral thrombosis. Asterisk. Chapter 30 Robin has no choice. Advertisement. Mr. Virgo, sorry, I lost Marine's face. Captain Dolly said with a shame on his face after saluting Virgo who had just arrived. Not only was he almost killed by the pirate Targus, but the reason he was able to survive was saved by another pirate, which made him proud of being a Marine, and he felt very self-blame in his heart. Don't talk about it, Captain Dolly. The sturdy man, with a cordial smile on his resolute face, let's go to the doctor for treatment. Bay, Mr. Virgo. Captain Dolly felt almost crying, and the 12 Marines behind him also had the same expression. Let the others go for treatment, but Captain Dolly himself did not move. He glanced at the island from the corner of his eye and whispered. Mr. Virgo, Doflamingo is here, let's leave now. Captain Dolly's fear of Dover was almost etched into his bones, and he didn't want to stay here for a moment. Wilgo smiled and said, don't worry, I will not let anyone hurt you anymore. What could Captain Dolly say? Even if he was asked to die for Virgo, he was willing to do so. Virgo left the 1.3 billion Baileys that Sengoku gave him, and left the deserted island with 2 warships. From start to finish, he didn't even look in Dover's direction. On the island, seeing Marine leaving, Robin also came out. Master Dover, that Marine is not a simple person. Robin naturally refers to Virgo. In a few words, Virgo made Captain Dolly and the others feel grateful to him. There are indeed some means. What's more, Robin, who has been observing his words and acting for many years and has been accustomed to disguising himself, has also seen that when Virgo spoke to the Marines just now, he was not sincere. This is extremely scary. Advertisement. Oh, seeing Robin's insight so keen, Dover looked at this woman like Virgo who wrapped herself under a wrapper, and said with deep meaning. Robin, yo, you are such a smart woman. But sometimes being too smart is not necessarily a good thing. Robin was taken aback, not knowing what Dover meant by this. But a few hours later, in a secret room at the nearest Marine base, Robin understood what Dover was saying at the time. The Marine named Virgo turned out to be his subordinate. It was the undercover he sent to Marine. Standing in the secret room, watching Virgo, who was still in the image of a just, gentle, and reliable Marine for several hours, bowed down to Dover sitting in a chair. Robin couldn't hide the shock in his heart. Her long eyelashes quivered slightly, her always calm and confident face, and her red lips were tightly pressed because of the inner vibration and panic. The reason for Robin's panic was that Dover had exposed such a big secret to her. Not to mention Robin's thoughts at the moment turned a lot. Dover looked at Virgo, who saluted him respectfully, and smiled and stretched out his hand to lift him up. Virgo, get up, we haven't seen each other for almost a year. Virgo stood up, his face still respectful. He had long learned from Torpal that the hockey in the young master was even more than before. Now that I have witnessed it with my own eyes, I know that Torpal's words are true. The young master's hockey is probably several times the amount before, and the mere inadvertent leak made Virgo feel a tremor of his soul. Virgo, I have worked hard for you all these years. Virgo can be regarded as Dover's most powerful admiral, just undercover Marine for nearly 10 years. This forbearance and disguise are not comparable to ordinary people. In Dover's future plans, Virgo still plays an extremely important role. The only thing that Dover is not satisfied with is Virgo's strength. To be honest, Virgo's strength is definitely not weak, just covering armament hockey, it is not an ordinary strong person can do it. But who is Dover's future enemy? Advertisement. It's Marine, 4 emperors, and world government. At the level of the top powerhouse, Virgo's strength seems to be insufficient. However, Dover had already considered this. He intends to let Virgo eat a powerful devil fruit, and Dover has also launched the Underground Worlds Network to search for the news of that devil fruit. Young master, for your great cause, this bit of hard work under your subordinates is nothing. Virgo said almost religiously. At this meeting, he became more sure that the young master was the man who had ascended the last throne. Dover didn't say much anymore. Among the 4 highest cadres who followed him, Virgo was the closest in age, and there was a tacit understanding between the two that they did not have with Torpal and others. Little Lord, Virgo suddenly pointed to the only outsider in the secret room, Robin. What are you going to do with this woman? Of course Virgo knew Robin, so he knew Robin's irreplaceable value, but he also understood the huge trouble he was carrying behind him. Especially, when Robin walked into this secret room and learned the secret of his Marine undercover, then Robin was destined to have only 2 ends. One is death, of course, and the other is loyal to the young master and never betrays. Robin seemed to have guessed that she had to make a choice. She was fingered by Virgo, and she took a step back subconsciously, her face also becoming a little pale. Hey Dover let out an unexplained laugh, and his gaze also looked at Robin. This woman, who has been dealing with the big men in the dark world for more than 10 years, was even more flustered under Dover's gaze. Robin, with your intelligence, you should have guessed the purpose of my coming to you. Dover sounded low, deep, and with a gentle voice. How are you thinking about it? Anyway, you also need to join an organization to protect you. This is your way to protect yourself in the past. Instead of joining those stinky fish and shrimps, it is better to get on my boat. Asterisk. Chapter 31 Robin and Crocodile. Advertisement. Robin was forced to the corner. Although she had joined many organizations before, many of them were still requested by her. But those organizations are just a place for her to hide temporarily. There is no psychological burden to betrayed, and there will be no consequences. However, the man in front of him is different, and he is not at the same level as the organizations Robin joined before. He is the powerful 7 warlords of the sea, the heavenly Yaksha who dared to hijack the heavenly gold and threaten the world government, and the man who dared to blackmail Marshal Marine twice in a row and is still safe. He is Donquixote Doflamingo. It is different from everyone Robin has encountered in the past 23 years. From the first sight of the meeting, Robin could not forget the deep look in Dover's eyes at the time. This is a man she can't see through. To be honest, Robin didn't want to be with such a person, because Dover really made her feel a little scary. But can she refuse? The answer is no. In this situation, if Robin shook her head, she couldn't guarantee that she would be suicide, like Targus. Virgo's eyes gradually turned bad. Dover was still calm. He believed Nico Robin was a smart woman, at least for the moment, she had no reason to refuse. Sure enough, after Robin hesitated for a moment, a flowery smile suddenly appeared on his beautiful face. Master Dover, it is an honor for the little girl to be on your boat. Only, Robin suddenly gave Dover a timid look and hesitated to speak. Dover had to admit that this little woman is really good at acting, with a timid expression. I am afraid that any man will love it when he sees it. Advertisement. Dover also had no intention of exposing it, and said with a playful smile, just what? It's just that the little girl has been spotted by another big man before. If you get on your boat, Lord Dover, I'm afraid Lord Dover will be in trouble. After Robin finished speaking, his big royal blue eyes carefully observed the changes in Dover's expression. In her opinion, Dover should hesitate more or less after learning the news. After all, she said that the man was a big man in front of Dover, which at least showed that the man was at the same level as Dover. However, completely beyond her expectation, the man in front of him did not show any jealous expression, but laughed loudly. Well, Robin, it seems that that person has been in contact with you. Dover's eyes flashed a weird light. That's right, Robin, you can continue to contact that person. Robin couldn't help being shocked. Hearing the meaning of Dover's words, he clearly knew who the big man was. But how is this possible? The man just contacted himself. Where did Dover know about it? The more Robin thought about it, the more frightened he became. Is there anything in this world that the man in front of him doesn't know? Master Dover, what do you mean? Robin couldn't keep up the performance just now, and smiled reluctantly. It doesn't mean anything. Dover's mouth made a wicked arc. It's just that my next destination, and the person you mentioned, is a place called Alabasta. Alabasta is a country located on the desert. Its history is extremely long, at least it has existed for thousands of years. Today, few people know that Alabasta is actually one of the 20 countries that created the world government 800 years ago. If the Neferutari family at that time moved into Mariajoy, then the current King Cobra of Alabasta and the Princess Vivi are undoubtedly the celestial dragons. Advertisement. Nowadays, Alabasta is just an ordinary country, and because of the lack of desert resources, the people's life is also very poor, even the pirates are too lazy to patronize. But this situation changed a year ago. The pirates around Alabasta suddenly increased. Many small towns were ransacked by pirates, making the original poor life of the residents in the town even worse. The royal family of Alabasta was also unable to organize effective force to resist the pirates' harassment due to its limited national power. Just when the people of Alabasta were in dire straits, a savior came. With just one arm, he drove the pirate away easily. All the citizens of Alabasta, along with King Cobra, are grateful to him. He is Seven Warlords of the Sea, Crocodile, also known as the Sand Crocodile, and the big man Robin said. At this time, Crocodile was standing on the most magnificent palace of the Alabasta Palace, which was built for him by King Cobra to appreciate his kindness. Thinking of Cobra's gratitude and almost crying expression at the time, Crocodile couldn't help but sneer cruelly. Stupidity is a sin, and being weak is a sin. Do you think so, Mr. 1? Located next to Crocodile, is a strong man with fierce swordsmanship all over his body. Mr. 1 Das Bonus nodded and said. Alabasta is destined to belong to you, Mr. President. Crocodile sneered coldly. He didn't have any interest in this country. He was only interested in that from beginning to end. Mr. 1, go find a group of pirates to attack the small town on the coast. This country desperately needs Lousy, the savior. Yes, Mr. President. Mr. 1 stepped back respectfully. Chapter 32 Ultimate Light and Darkness. Advertisement. Royal Palace of Alabasta. King Cobra furrowed his brows and heard the adjutant Bell of the palace guard say. The pirates are attacking the town on the shore again. This time there are more pirates than the last time. Cobra hurriedly said. Bell, you personally lead the team, and you must not injure any of the citizens. For this reason, it doesn't matter if you lose some money. Bell hesitated for a moment, and Fang said, My lord, I don't need me to save it anymore. When I received the news, I heard that Lord Crocodile had passed. That's great. Cobra breathed a sigh of relief, with a grateful expression on his face. Sir Crocodile is really Alabasta's benefactor. I really don't know how to repay him. Hearing what the king said, Bell stopped talking. He is extremely loyal to Cobra, and vaguely feels that Crocodile's repeated rescue of the nation is not a good thing for the Alabasta royal family. Because it is easy for the citizens to forget the king because they are grateful to Crocodile. But in this case, Bell is not easy to talk to Cobra. Because he knew that the king was a kind person, once he said bad things about the savior of Alabasta, he would definitely be reprimanded by the king. Bell only shared his worries with the palace steward Ikaram, hoping that the steward could remind the king at the right time. Bell did not know that the conversation between him and Ikaram was heard by a small figure. Neferutali Vivi at this time was only 11 or 2 years old. She has long sky blue hair, sapphire eyes, and her skin is snowy. She has 2 beautiful flowers. Although she is not very old, she can already tell that she will surely become a beautiful woman who will be all over the country in the future. Because of overhearing what Bell said to Ikaram, and because of the little girl's unique sixth sense, she felt that the evil-looking man was not a good person when she first saw Crocodile. Therefore, Vivi does not have the same gratitude and trust in Crocodile as his father. In the original work, she was the first to discover Crocodile's conspiracy, risking her life and lurking into the Baroque studio. But unfortunately, because of the huge gap between the strengths of the two sides, it would be impossible for Vivi to change Alabasta's tragedy without the arrival of Straw Hat Crew. Advertisement. At this time, after hearing the praise of the Father King to Crocodile, Vivi Xiaochong snorted. Father, you can't trust that guy too much. She is loved by Cobra and will take over as Queen Alabasta if nothing happens in the future, but she doesn't have as many worries as Bell, and she says what she thinks in her heart. Cobra smiled at Vivi, but said obviously disapprovingly on his face, Little boy, what do you know? Vivi was very dissatisfied that Cobra didn't take her advice seriously, hummed his little nose heavily, and walked away angrily. Cobra shook his head helplessly, but a sad look fell on his vicissitudes of old face. It has not rained in Alabasta for 3 consecutive months. This year's citizens seem to be particularly troubled, but he, the king, can do nothing. ... The sea is 100 miles away from Alabasta. On a luxurious yacht, there is only one man and one woman. The man lies on a comfortable sun lounger, squinting his eyes, revealing his masculine upper body. On the side, there is also a sun lounger, but there is a beautiful and charming lady sitting on it. Robin is wearing a purple dress today, and his upper body is also a small purple suit. The unique texture of the skin is shining in the sun, with a silky luster starting from the beginning, and the round and small belly button is like agate embellished on it. Robin is also wearing a pair of black sunglasses, holding a thick book in her hand, and reading the book calmly, making her look so intellectual, elegant, beautiful and unique in the world. However, only Robin knows that although she seems to be reading a book, her attention is completely off the book. She was spying on the man beside her. This man, Robin had no idea what he was thinking. Advertisement. After learning that Robin had already been spotted by Crocodile, not only did he not have the slightest surprise, but he seemed to have known it a long time ago. And the direction they are heading now is Alabasta, where Crocodile is located. Robin also knew that after they arrived at Alabasta, Virgo would also pass. Robin didn't know what Dover was going to do. Are you going to have a fight with Crocodile? That's Shichibukai of the same level as him. What's more, once the two sides are up against each other, it will be earth-shattering, and it is impossible for Marine and even the world government to sit idly by. Because the world today is a three-legged situation of Marine, Shichibukai, and 4 emperors, the world government will not allow anyone who wants to disrupt this balance. It is foreseeable that if Dover takes the initiative to go to war with Crocodile, then Marine Marshal Sengoku will take the opportunity to explode the anger that Dover has extorted the first 2 times. Isn't there such a worry? When Robin was puzzled, the man seemed to have known her peeping and knew her doubts, and suddenly he laughed deeply. Do you not understand? Doubt. Hey. Dover opened his eyes and shot a light that made Robin's heart palpitate. This world has been at ease for too long. It exudes a decadent, erosive, and foul smell. Dover stood up suddenly, and the golden sunlight gathered on him for a moment, making him look like a god. Don't you think it would be fun to put a fire on such a disgusting world and let it explode completely? Robin couldn't help being frightened. She suddenly felt that the man in front of her seemed to have 2 extremely contradictory things at the same time. That is the light of ultimate and the darkness of ultimate. Asterisk. Chapter 33. Dover appeared, and the Baroque Job Club collectively shook. Advertisement. When Crocodile once again protected a small town in Alabasta from a group of pirates with overwhelming strength, its title of Savior in this desert country became even more resounding. When the citizens of Alabasta, kneeling on the ground, chanted the grace of Crocodile. No one can see Crocodile aloft, with mocking and disdainful expressions on his face. It's a disgusting voice, Mr. One, then give them another month of dancing fans. Crocodile said cruelly. Dancing powder is a kind of banned product, and it is the culprit that Alabasta has not had a drop of rain in the past 3 months. And Crocodile's understatement extended the suffering of Alabasta citizens for another month. On the side, Mr. One, standing upright like a knife, bowed and nodded. He used to be a bounty hunter for West Blue, and he is not a good person in his own right, but such a pure torture evil like this, Mr. One has only seen it from Crocodile for so many years. Therefore, since the first time he met Crocodile, he has deeply surrendered to this man. If the other members of the Baroque studio are all afraid of Crocodile, they have to serve for it. Then he is Mr. One. Daz Bonus is undoubtedly different from everyone else, he still has incredible loyalty to Crocodile. Similarly, Crocodile, who never believes in anyone but only believes in his own strength, has a little bit of trust in Mr. One. Of course, what he mainly fancied is the opponent's ability to cut fruits. Also, go and notify the other Baroque members to have a meeting in the palace at night. Crocodile turned around, too lazy to look at people underneath, who in his eyes were indistinguishable from ants. There was a hint of interest and even urgency in his eyes. Tonight, but there is an important guest coming, our Baroque work club must cheer up and welcome her. Daz Bonus was taken aback. Important guest. Why didn't he listen to the president at all? Daz Bonus couldn't help but become curious about tonight's meeting. Advertisement. Night came soon. In the palace specially built by King Cobra specifically for Crocodile, senior agents from the Baroque work agency came one after another. They are all unruly criminals with perverse and violent temperaments. Although they belong to the same organization, they are not pleasing to each other. Soon, because of a simple quarrel, the 2 of them had to fight each other. The rest of the people, no one to persuade them, all looked good at the show. Suddenly, a gloomy, indifferent voice sounded. If you don't want to be a mummy, just shut your mouths for lousy. As soon as the sound fell, everyone in the palace fell silent immediately, and dared not make any more noises. The 2 guys who were about to fight even more cringed their necks, looking upwards with fear. The reason is that the person who speaks is their boss, Crocodile. For the cruelty and ruthlessness of the boss, these villains couldn't be more aware of them, and they were terrified of Crocodile in the bottom of my heart. Crocodile scanned the mobs coldly. Originally, according to his character, he was going to kill those 2 idiots just now. But tonight, he was in a good mood, and he didn't bother to kill. Seeing that the president was not angry, everyone was relieved. The ladyboy Mr. 2 Bentham said, President, you call us this time, do you have any orders? Crocodile leaned on the wide tiger leather chair, ignoring Bentham, but looking somewhere outside the hall. Since I'm here, I hide in the dark to watch a good show of the future boss. This is not what a qualified subordinate should do, Nico Robin. One stone stirred up 1,000 waves. All the senior agents of the Baroque Work Agency were shocked. Nico Robin. The boss actually said that the rumored son of the devil was hidden outside the door. Everyone's eyes couldn't help but also looked out the door. In the darkness outside the door, a slender figure gradually emerged. She wore a purple dress, and she had a graceful figure. Looking at her face, who was not Nico Robin, the son of the devil? Advertisement. Daz Bonus's doubts during the day were resolved, and the important guest mentioned by the president turned out to be this woman. He couldn't help sighing in his heart. The president is really bold, even this woman dared to take in, really worthy of the president. He surrendered. Just when everyone was shocked to see Robin, Crocodile, who had an indifferent face, suddenly widened his eyes. Staring at Robin's back, he felt an extremely powerful aura, that is only a real strong aura possessed. This damn it woman brought other people here. Crocodile glared at Robin fiercely, but he had no time to settle accounts with Robin now. Because he can feel that the strength of the person behind Robin is not below him. At this time, other people in the Baroque Work Club discovered the president's anomaly. Everyone couldn't help but wonder. I have never seen a boss so nervous before, is this woman so scary? They attributed Crocodile's anomaly to Robin. Only Daz Bonus raised his arm cautiously. He knew well that Nico Robin alone could not make the president so abnormal, it must have happened something he hadn't noticed. Just when the atmosphere in the palace became extremely weird. A strange laughter that made people feel hairy, suddenly echoed in the hall. It's been a long time, Crocodile. A tall figure slowly walked out from behind Robin. He squinted his eyes from above, the powerful hockey, and almost immediately after his appearance, he enveloped everyone present, including Crocodile. With a wicked smile on Dover's face, he looked at Crocodile, who was strained because of his arrival. There is a mistake that needs to be corrected for you, Nico Robin, who will no longer be your subordinate. She is now, but my person, Sand Crocodile. Chapter 34 Meeting of the Two Shichibukai. Advertisement. Nico Robin, she is now, but my person, Sand Crocodile. As Dover's faint words spread throughout the hall, no one spoke for a long time. Shock. A huge shock inside. It makes people unable to speak even for a short period of time. This is the state of all the senior agents of the Baroque Work Agency at this moment. Although knowing that facing this man suddenly, I am afraid that anyone will be aphasia for a short time, but Robin can't help but sigh in his heart. Dover's power is so powerful that even Crocodile, who is also Shichibukai with him, is far inferior. For some reason, he glanced at the tall figure on his side that seemed to wrap his happily long body, and a sense of relief suddenly surged in Robin's chest. Perhaps, she also felt that hiding behind this man, even the powerful Shichibukai, even the powerful Marine, could not easily hurt herself from then on. This is the shelter Robin has been looking for 15 years, isn't it? Why are you here? Doflamingo. Finally, Crocodile was the first to react from the shock. His face showed a furious expression of being deceived in the situation beyond his control. Although Crocodile may seem arrogant, he is actually meticulous and has a unique way of playing with people's hearts. He has already made plans for Alabasta in the next 5 years. Get the love of the people of Alabasta by saving the people from the pirates. Through dancing fans, the surrounding area does not rain all year round, while the palace area is full of rain, so as to blame Cobra. Through the stupid Cobra, find the ancient historical text. Through Nico Robin, the son of the devil, finally got something like that. Everything is planned by Crocodile. But now, because of Dover's arrival, all his plans have been disrupted. Advertisement. No, there is still room for recovery. Just kill Doflamingo and retake Nico Robin, and everything will be perfect again. These thoughts flashed through Crocodile's mind for a moment, and his eyes became dangerous and cruel. With those fierce eyes, even Robin, a person who has been in the dark world all year round, couldn't help but feel chills, and subconsciously leaned back behind Dover. Dover didn't seem to see it. Crocodile's eyes were full of murderous intent. He gently fiddled with his fingers, and the smile on his face was still so unruly and evil. Sand Crocodile, things in the world are always difficult to please. However, the weak succumb to the world, and the strong dominate the world. The reason why I am here proves this. Foo. What did you say? Crocodile stood up abruptly, his expression gloomy and suppressed in rage. Doflamingo means that he is weak. Crocodile could no longer bear the killing intent in his patience. He wanted to suck up the damn man in front of him and turn it into a complete corpse. However, Dover's next sentence gave Crocodile a shock all over, and his movement stopped. Sand Crocodile, I know a little bit about you, about why you left New World, why you appeared here Alabasta. ... At the same time, Cobra, the king of Alabasta, had fallen asleep, but suddenly stood up uncontrollably. What's going on? There was a hint of panic in Cobra's eyes, he seemed to be manipulated by something invisible. Come on. Cobra wanted to shout, but found that he couldn't even make a sound. He can only step forward without being able to move forward voluntarily. Soon, Cobra found that he had walked to a gorgeous palace. This is the place where Your Excellency Crocodile lives. The old man can't go in. Advertisement. Cobra is extremely grateful for Crocodile's kindness, and thinks it is rude to break into someone else's realm without permission. On weekdays, this palace in Crocodile, and the entire palace, are not allowed to enter. But Cobra couldn't control himself at all, so he walked in and came to a window. Through the gap in the window, he saw the situation in the hall. Cobra immediately shook his whole body, and his eyes widened involuntarily. On the other side, there was also a small figure sneaking into the palace. Vivi crept into the place where Crocodile lived. During the day-to-day, the father completely ignored her suggestion, making Vivi very angry, always thinking that he must find evidence to make the father believe in himself. So in the evening, she hid outside the Crocodile palace. Vivi saw with his own eyes that a lot of extremely vicious-looking people walked into this palace. They must be bad guys, right? Are they plotting something? Vivi felt a boundless horror. But she thought of the father and the people of Alabasta. Vivi is really a very kind little girl. She endured the fear and tension in her heart, stepping on her almost trembling little feet, trying to eavesdrop on the conversations of those people. The atmosphere of the hall seemed extremely depressing the moment Dover entered. Except for the two men, no one dared to speak, or even to make a sound, for fear of disturbing them. Because these two people are both seven warlords of the sea standing at the top of the world. This is a Shichibukai level meeting, and the weak are not qualified to interrupt. Crocodile's face at this time was extremely gloomy, and the golden hook on his right hand glowed with a green poisonous glow. What do you know, heavenly Yaksha? Don't be so excited. Dover smiled faintly. It's not a shame that you lost to Whitebeard in New World and had to run away. Asterisk. Chapter 35 Dover vs. Crocodile. Advertisement. Hehehehe. Sand Crocodile, before coming here, I investigated some of your things. I heard that you challenged Whitebeard in New World and suffered a terrible defeat. Then came to Alabasta and wanted to get something like that. Quote. When Dover said, that thing, Crocodile's face changed wildly again. Where did you get the news? Could it be that? Crocodile suddenly thought of something. He glanced at Nico Robin behind Dover, and said in a dark tone. The purpose of your coming here is also for that kind of thing. Dover laughed and said nothing. The conversation between the two men resembled a riddle, leaving everyone present at a loss, wondering what they were talking about. Only Cobra outside the window of the main hall changed abruptly. That thing, in their mouths refers to one of the three ancient weapons. Pluton. There was a huge wave in Cobra's heart. In Alabasta, the things that attracted the attention of the two Shichibukai, apart from ancient weapon Pluton, Cobra couldn't think of anything else. Never mind. Crocodile suddenly calmed down. There were so many things that surprised him tonight and got out of his control, and he was so angry that he was beyond anger. At this level, only blood can calm his anger. No matter where you get the news, no matter what your purpose is here, Doflamingo, you are going to die here today. Next moment, Crocodile moved. His lower body turned into sand, and the poisonous golden hook in his right hand was raised high, rushing towards Dover at a very fast speed. Robin only felt a murderous aura that almost suffocated her. Just being affected by this fierce murderous aura, Robin couldn't help but tremble. Advertisement. She knew that if it hadn't been for that man to stand in front of her, she wouldn't even have room to fight back. Facing Crocodile's murderous aura, Dover didn't even change his expression. Although Crocodile's strength is not weak, today's Dover is far from what Crocodile can match. Just when the agents of the Baroque Work Agency watched with excitement, the president was about to teach heavenly Yaksha, who was obviously unkind. The sudden scene almost made them stare. I saw Crocodile's aggressive movements, but suddenly stopped, and his whole body was stagnant in the air. What happened? My president. The Baroque Work Society panicked, and Das Bonus's expression tightened. Crocodile also cursed angrily. Of course he knew that Dover was a string fruit capable person, and he had already taken precautions. But when on earth did Dover put the thread around him to restrict his movement? Crocodile was completely unaware of it. Sand Crocodile, you have to cultivate well with your knowledge and appearance. Dover's careless words made Crocodile extremely angry, and his face flushed. He remembered what Dover said before, the weak yield to the world, the strong dominate the world. Crocodile couldn't help but roared. Who do you think lousy is? Accompanied by this roar, Crocodile's whole body turned into quicksand, swept away, and instantly escaped from the wire restraint. Go to hell. In the blink of an eye, Crocodile came to Dover's head. Ha 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 ha, the president is angry. Even the legendary Doflamingo, facing the anger of the boss, will regret it. Advertisement. Let's escape quickly. Once the president's abilities are fully activated, we will also be affected. Everyone in the Baroque Work Club had different thoughts, but without exception, they all breathed a sigh of relief. The pressure that Dover brought to them was too great, and the invisible hockey pressure almost made them unable to breathe. Fortunately, the president is here. In the hearts of the members of the Baroque Working Society, the president is undoubtedly the most powerful and terrifying man in the world. However, once again, the people in the Baroque Work Club were shocked by what happened. The president's attack was indeed swift and violent this time, and the golden sting was about to hit the heavenly Yaksha's head, but that person suddenly stretched out a finger. The fingers collided with the tip of the poisonous hook, and a metal cracking sound was made. Immediately afterwards, there was deathly silence on the court. A finger blocked the head of the president's poisonous hook. Impossible. Haha, absolutely impossible. I must be dazzled. It took a long time for someone to make a dry sound in the hall. After all, this scene is too terrifying. Dignified Shichibukai Sand Crocodile's angry blow was actually blocked with a finger. Who would dare to believe this? Even the person blocked is a powerful Shichibukai, but it is too scary. Robin was also taken aback. She thought that in the face of Crocodile's attack, Dover would deal with it solemnly, even if he was not afraid. But never expected that Dover's response was so simple an understatement. At this moment, Dover's indifferent voice sounded. He looked at Crocodile, who was also full of disbelief, and chuckled. Sand Crocodile, it seems that your armed color has to be cultivated well. Asterisk. Chapter 36 Be despised, the anger of Sand Crocodile. Advertisement. Sand Crocodile, it seems that your armed color has to be cultivated well. Armed color. Dover's words left everyone in a daze. And what the hell is the sight, hearing an S** that he said before? It's a type of hockey. Mr. 1 Daz Bonus spoke solemnly. Hockey is divided into armament hockey, observation hockey, and conqueror's hockey, where only 1 out of a million people awakens. Strong people who are in the new world, knowing hockey is indispensable. Look at Doflamingo's fingers. Everyone in the Baroque working society looked quickly, and saw Dover blocking the fingers of the president's poisonous hook, showing a pitch black color. That is the external performance of armament hockey. With armament hockey attached, the body will be as hard as steel. After hearing Daz Bonus's words, these villains couldn't help but lose their color. There are such terrible moves in the world. Someone asked cautiously. Your president has also been to New World, so he should also be hockey. Daz Bonus nodded. The villains let out a sigh of relief. That's good, that's good. Only Daz Bonus knows in his heart that although the president knows hockey, he is not very good at it, especially when he faces that man. Daz Bonus stared at Dover firmly, and he had a faint feeling that the strength of this man who was daunting by his boldness alone was absolutely extraordinary. Damn it. Crocodile only felt ashamed when Dover could easily block the attack with just 1 finger. What's more, he was taught by Dover twice in a row to practice hard, which is blatant contempt. But Crocodile wasn't an incompetent furious idiot, and he returned. After a simple trial, he already understood that it was impossible to solve Dover by some small means. Then let you taste the taste of being soaked up. Crocodile's arm turned into sand, and with a violent wave, a huge sand blade emerged. Sand Arc Moon Dune. Anyone who is affected by this sand blade will be sucked up the water in the body within a few seconds and become an unconscious mummy with terrifying power. It's a cruel move. Dover squinted and turned to Robin. If you feel scared, stay away. Advertisement. Robin was taken aback for a moment, and then his bright red lips curled up in a charming arc. Master Dover, with you in front of you, the little girl is not scared at all. Dover smiled and gave Robin a deep look. Immediately, he turned his head, faced the huge sand blade, and slowly put out a slender palm. Wang. Armed with color covering, the palm of the hand turned into deep pitch black. He reached out and grabbed the blade of sand. With a slight force, only a click, the huge sand blade fell apart in an instant. What? Crocodile's face changed again. Now, he was really shocked. Although he didn't think that his own sand blade could really suck Dover, it was too easy for the opponent to block, and even Kakuzu didn't move. Impossible. Lousy as Crocodile. Crocodile is an extremely conceited person of his own strength, otherwise, he would never have challenged Whitebeard. Therefore, Dover's 2 understatements thoroughly stimulated Crocodile. Desert King Kong Sword. Crocodile fully urged Sand Fruit's abilities, using one of his strongest tricks. 4 sand blades, which were several times larger than before, flew towards Dover. These sand blades are not only larger in size, but also sharp enough to cut gold and broken stones. Boss is going to be real. Now, even Doflamingo can no longer catch it as easily as before. Everyone in the Baroque workshop was excited. Just now, Dover's revealed strength was too terrifying, which really made them panic. All their hopes are pinned on Crocodile. Dover noticed this, as if he hadn't seen the forthcoming and amazing Desert Diamond Sword. On the contrary, a wicked smile appeared on his face. Sand Crocodile, your subordinates are looking forward to you deeply. Advertisement. Now there are still idle talk about those wastes, you really underestimate Lousy. Crocodile was so angry that it couldn't be furthered. He doesn't care about the wasteful thoughts under his hands. Those people are just his tools. What he cared about was Dover's calm expression, the expression that didn't put his attack in his eyes. This kind of lofty, contemptuous, arrogant attitude has never been only Crocodile looking at others. When would anyone dare to look at him like that? By the way, there is only one person, Whitebeard, who claims to be the strongest in the world. But Dover is not Whitebeard. And even Whitebeard, Crocodile can't stand it, what he hates most in his life is being seen as a weak person. So, after being defeated by Whitebeard, he came to Alabasta and wanted to use Pluton's power to avenge Whitebeard. But before that, he must kill the man in front of him. Die. The Desert King Kong knife was urged to ultimate by Crocodile, and he wanted Doflamingo to taste the price of underestimating him. Buzzing. In the eyes of everyone staring, 4 huge sand blades wrapped Dover and Robin behind him. Success. Succeeded. Great. The boss is really the strongest. Ha ha ha. Even Doflamingo has been defeated by the president, who else in this world can stop our Baroque work agency? The senior agents of the Baroque work agency couldn't help cheering. However, soon, the cheers diminished. Because they found that the tremendous pressure that had been pressing on them since Dover came in, has not disappeared. Huh, a sound that seemed to come from deep and quiet, from the place covered by the sand blade, made everyone present could not help but exude a deep chill. I just said it, Sand Crocodile, your hockey still needs more practice. Next second, the huge sand blade collapsed, revealing the intact figures of Dover and Robin. Asterisk. Chapter 37 Hockey crushed, the Baroque workshop was wiped out. Advertisement. The Desert Diamond Sword is useless at all. How can it be? Crocodile's face was ugly. The Desert Diamond Sword is already one of his few tricks at the bottom of the box. However, he didn't even hurt a single vellus hair on the other side. Crocodile can't figure it out. Both sides are Shichibukai. How can the gap in strength be so large? In the bottom of his heart, there was an unprecedented panic flashing. This is not to blame Crocodile. Now Dover's strength is already at the top of the world. Even Dover himself can't tell how strong he is now. But it is obvious that it is more than enough to deal with Crocodile at this time. Dover walked towards Crocodile step by step, his face indifferent, and there was a slight smile. That was an expression that only a certain degree of strength would have. The former Crocodile also liked to show such an expression to his subordinates, to the enemy, and to the weak, which would make him feel the pleasure of manipulating everything. However, he never thought that one day others would look at him with such an expression. What? The supreme anger made Crocodile let out a low roar. His eyes were red, like a wounded lone wolf, staring fiercely at Dover who was walking towards him. Crocodile suddenly danced his arms madly, and Sand Fruit's ability was completely released at this moment. The earth became dry, and the entire hull turned into sand in an instant, revealing Cobra and Vivi, who had been hiding outside and were full of horror at this time. A huge sandstorm rose out of thin air. No, the president has lost his mind. Everyone who gets caught in the sand will have to die. Daz Bonus, face changed wildly, and with a roar, he backed away quickly. The other senior agents of the Baroque Work Agency also hurriedly fled as if they had seen a ghost. The sandstorm is raging, and it's getting bigger and bigger. However, it seemed to be bound by something, just raging crazily on the side where Crocodile was. Advertisement. And once it hit the half of the world where Dover was, it immediately stopped, as if something invisible was blocking the spread. A very strange scene appeared. On one side, it was playing a sandstorm that became more and more manic. On one side, it was calm and there was no sand in the air. Everyone looked at this scene in shock, as if they had seen a miracle. And when the calm half expanded, and the space where the sandstorm was raging became smaller and smaller, everyone responded that this was not a miracle at all, but was caused by the man's hockey. With each step Dover took, the hockey pressure on him became even greater. Under the power of his hockey, the sandstorm retreated steadily, and there was no resistance at all. Crocodile became even more crazy, not only continued to increase the weight of Shaolan, but also used his strongest move, the Desert Sword. In the original book, Crocodile once used this trick to cut off Marine Admiral Akainu, who did not react. However, even his strongest Desert Sword was easily crushed by Dover with armament hockey. How could this be? Impossible. Impossible. How could Crocodile dare to believe that he attacked with all his strength, and what he got was still a random wave of the opponent's hand? At this moment, Crocodile suddenly had an illusion. What he is facing right now is not Shichibukai Doflamingo at all. It's Whitebeard, the strongest Whitebeard in the world. Petal. Dover finally came to Crocodile as if walking in the garden. He reached out a hand, grabbed Crocodile's neck, and lifted the ladder high. Crocodile did not resist. In this battle, he was completely defeated, just like when he challenged Whitebeard. Crocodile hates the weak, and at this moment, he hates his own weakness even more. Once again deeply felt my incompetence, once again deeply felt my own weakness, Crocodile would rather die. Advertisement. He closed his eyes as if admitting his fate. A man like him will never show weakness and beg for mercy to the enemy until he dies. Behind Dover. It is impossible to describe the shock in Robin's heart at this time. She finally understood why Dover would come directly to Alabasta without any scruples. Because the strength of the two sides is not on the same level at all. In the past, Robin thought that Shichibukai were all strong people of the same level. But now she understands that she was wrong, and even if they are both Shichibukai, the strength of the two may be the same. Or is it that Dover is the only exception? Robin shook his head. With her strength, it was too far away to think about this issue. The other end. The high-level agents of the Baroque working group petrified them. They couldn't believe that their incomparably powerful and terrifying boss was just so caught by the neck. Only Daz Bonus reacted the fastest. At this moment, the sandstorm had stopped due to Crocodile's giving up resistance. Daz Bonus yelled. Go and save the president. Everyone just recovered. From the bottom of their hearts, they were unwilling to confront the man who looked like a demon, but thought that once the president was killed, it would be even more impossible for them to resist that person. Therefore, these high-level agents can only suppress the fear in their hearts and use their abilities together. Only when they go together can they have the courage to attack Dover. Humph. Dover glanced at the people and sneered. The ants are also delusional to shake the sky. In an instant, Hockey, who was stronger than before, rushed out of him. Where Hockey swept, even the surrounding ground was stained with a layer of gray. That is, Conqueror's Hockey. Asterisk. Chapter 38 Sand Crocodile bows its head, another royal father and daughter. Advertisement. In Conqueror's washing ground, the surroundings quickly became quiet. In Dover's eyes, all the members of the Baroque Job Club, who were indistinguishable from the Joker, fainted. At this time, Crocodile opened his eyes suddenly. Since I am defeated, if I want to kill or scrape, just come. Dover raised his eyebrows, and the corners of his mouth curled up in a playful arc. I don't see that a man like you cares about the life and death of his subordinates. What are you talking about? Crocodile stared at Dover fiercely and sneered disdainfully. What's the matter with lousy? The arc of Dover's mouth widened, but he knew that Crocodile, a sand crocodile, also had hidden attributes of Tsunere. But Dover didn't bother to open up Crocodile's duplicity, and he suddenly let go of Crocodile's neck. Crocodile fell to the ground, coughed hard, and even sneered. You don't kill Lousy, don't expect Lousy to be grateful to you. One day, Lousy will defeat you, and the stinky old man Whitebeard. Really? Dover said with a playful smile, if you have enough strength, you are always welcome to challenge me. Crocodile's tone stagnated. He already knew the strength gap between himself and Dover. It was impossible to surpass Dover in a short time. But how could he admit it, shut his mouth, and said nothing? Dover looked cold suddenly. But, Sand Crocodile, I won't kill you, but it's conditional. Crocodile frowned. He hated the feeling of being condescended, but at this moment, he had no other way. After all, as an ambitious man, he didn't really want to die. You must do something for me, Dover said without a doubt. Crocodile frowned more tightly, and he lit a cigarette in his mouth. What's the matter? Advertisement. Seeing that Crocodile did not refuse, Dover's dark eyes gleamed with a deep light, making Crocodile shocked when he saw it. What is the idea of this man? Being undercover in Impel Down, ruin Impel Down when necessary. The language is not surprising and endless. As soon as Dover's words fell, it was because of Crocodile's heart, and his heart was shocked, and his eyes widened. Impel Down. You dare to fight the idea of Impel Down. Even if you are Shichibukai, once you commit such a felony, Marine and world government will not let you go. Hehehehe. Dover let out a deep laugh. Marine, world government. His voice has a kind of lofty disdain, with a kind of indifference of the king who overlooks all living beings. So what, Sand Crocodile? Crocodile did not expect that Dover's answer was so simple. But such a simple answer gave him an unprecedented shock. Yeah, so what, Marine, world government, all those who stand in my way will be killed. This is what the king should have. Crocodile looked deeply at Dover in front of him, and he had to admit that this person's boldness and strength far surpassed himself. Maybe he can really do something that even the old man Whitebeard can't do. Thinking of this, Crocodile almost nodded in a ghostly manner. Advertisement. After nodding his head, he was taken aback. Didn't he become a subordinate of Doflamingo, in a factual sense? However, Crocodile himself will never admit this. Dover was also a little surprised to see Crocodile agreeing so quickly. It should be noted that in the original work, Doflamingo has repeatedly invited Sand Crocodile to cooperate, but the latter refused. But this time, Dover gave him an order directly. This was not cooperation, but a relationship between superior and inferior. I have to say that Crocodile's promise really gave Dover a surprise. He had already thought that if Crocodile refused to lower his arrogant head, Dover would kill the latter immediately and without hesitation in order not to leave a hidden danger. However, it is of course the best result not to kill but to use it for yourself. But Dover couldn't completely trust Crocodile. When he pinched the latter's neck, he had already left a parasite string in his body, which could take Crocodile's life at any time. These thoughts flashed through his mind, and Dover smiled brightly on his face, and personally helped Crocodile up. Crocodile took a deep breath, as if to suppress the depression in his heart. I can impel down for you. But Alabasta, what are you going to do with it? Crocodile looked outside with horror and disbelief. Cobra and Princess Vivi. Would you like to ask about the whereabouts of that thing now? This is the end of Crocodile's plan to take Alabasta over the years. Of course it didn't happen. But such a thing, he has not forgotten. Dover also looked at the royal father and daughter of Alabasta. Of course Cobra was manipulated by him, and Vivi, the little girl, was indeed smart. She had suspected Crocodile so early and had the courage to eavesdrop. When Dover looked over, Vivi even raised his head to meet him. Although the little chest thumped and thumped nervously, and her little hand pinched the corner of her clothes tightly, I have to say that this little girl is indeed a bit extraordinary. Dover remembered that in the original book, the deeply hidden I.M. Sama, who had used a knife to insert the portrait of Vivi, couldn't help but become more interested in this little girl. Asterisk. Chapter 39. Take control of Alabasta. Advertisement. Cobra trembled violently all over. If he hasn't reacted by this time, Crocodile's visit to Alabasta is obviously a hidden evil, then he would be too stupid. Crow, Kettle, you came to Alabasta just for ancient weapon Pluton, and the pirates who attacked the town were all your orders. Cobra asked sharply. Among the fainted members of the Baroque Work Society, Cobra recognized many of them as villains who had attacked Alabasta. It turns out that they are all subordinates of Crocodile. Cobra is extremely regretful. Such a B*************** D who played Alabasta wantonly. He was so grateful to him before, and the people even called him the savior. Ha ha ha. Crocodile sneered disdainfully. So what, Cobra? The weaker knows the truth, but it makes the reality more cruel. What can you do with Lousy? By the way, these 3 months of continuous drought were also done by Lousy. Humph ha ha ha, how about it, are you going to kill Lousy? Cobra's body was shocked, his eyes flushed, and his fists clenched tightly. It turns out that everything Alabasta has suffered in the past year is Crocodile's conspiracy, and Alabasta has become a plaything in his hands. Thinking of the suffering the people endured, Cobra felt even more painful. But, even if he knew the truth, what could he do? He knew that he and all the guards of the palace together could not be Crocodile's opponent. What's more, there is also a man who is like a god who can't even compare with Crocodile. Dover had just crushed the power of Crocodile, and it was deeply imprinted in Cobra's heart. Cobra dared to question Crocodile, but he didn't even have the courage to look at Dover. What do you want to do with Alabasta? I will never tell you about Pluton. Advertisement. Cobra said desperately and decisively. Dover, who had been looking at the little girl in Vivi, glanced at Cobra faintly when he heard the words. Another stupid king. Speaking of which, the Nefertiti clan and the Donquixote clan were also considered to have overlapped 800 years ago, but it is a pity that in today's era, they are all so stupid. Cobra's eyes widened suddenly, and finally looked at Dover in disbelief. Donquixote family, can it be said that he is? Not waiting for Cobra to be shocked, Dover then laughed playfully. Cobra, just abdicate directly and pass the position of the king to that little girl. That little girl is much more useful than you. Cobra was taken aback, and Vivi, who had been plucking up the courage to look at Dover, was also in a daze, and then bit her pink lips and walked towards Dover. Vivi, what are you doing? Come back soon. Cobra was shocked, and then he seemed to have thought of something, and for a moment he forgot his fear of Dover. Did you control my daughter? Previously, Cobra himself was manipulated by Dover's parasite string, and understood the terrible aspects of that method. Father, the daughter has not been manipulated. Unexpectedly, Vivi turned his head and spoke clearly to Cobra. She walked up to Dover and raised her head, looking straight at Dover with her big sapphire eyes timidly but with a strange hope. Big brother, are you a good person? Nefertiti Vivi, who is about the same age as Rebecca, is also a precocious little girl. She was keenly aware of what was wrong with Crocodile. In the original book, she even dared to sneak into the Baroque workshop. She hates Crocodile, who looks fierce, always shows cruel expressions, and deceives everyone. Advertisement. But for the sudden arrival of Dover, she had a little girl's unique sense of intimacy. After all, Big Brother has defeated Crocodile, the villain who wants to bring Alabasta to hell. The next day, on the coast of Alabasta, a warship came. The resolute and gentle Virgo, surrounded by a group of Marines, walked into Alabasta. He brought a batch of rain equipment to Alabasta, which had been in a drought for 3 months, and brought a torrent of rain. The civilians of Alabasta screamed in the rain, praising Virgo's name loudly. Later, Virgo exposed the heinous crime of Crocodile's production of forbidden drug, dancing fans, and deliberately letting people pretend to be pirates to attack the town. Only then did the citizens of Alabasta know that they had been fooled by Crocodile, but they were grateful to him and called him the savior. After knowing the truth, naturally there is immense hatred and anger. However, Crocodile was also extremely irritated because of the incident, and fought with Virgo, and was finally defeated by Virgo. Crocodile was sent in to impel down by Virgo himself, and Virgo has since become a true hero among the people of Alabasta. In response to the voice of the citizens of Alabasta, and to reward Virgo, Marine appointed the chief of Alabasta Marine Base, with autonomy, decision-making power, and permanent residence in Alabasta. And Alabasta's newly appointed little king, Queen Vivi, also trusted Virgo very much, and gave Virgo the job of guarding the Alabasta palace. At this point, Dover effortlessly took control of Alabasta. And taking control of Alabasta is not just an extra territory. Alabasta is also an important springboard for Dover to sweep East Blue in the future. At the same time, Dover even placed the heavyweight chess piece Crocodile in Impel Down. Asterisk. Chapter 40 Cobra compromised and found the text of history. Advertisement. Royal Palace of Alabasta. The throne that originally belonged to King Cobra was sitting on a tall and handsome young man with a touch of majesty in every move. Next to the young man, there was a small and exquisite figure, who was the new queen of Alabasta, Vivi. Last night, Vivi plucked up the courage to ask, Big brother, are you a good person? Dover was taken aback and smiled and gave her the answer. Good people. The quality of this world is defined by the winners. Pure good and evil do not exist, little Vivi. Vivi couldn't understand what Dover said, but it didn't prevent her from thinking Dover was a good person in her heart. In her careful thoughts, Dover defeated the bad guy Crocodile and brought long-lost rain to Alabasta. Vivi knows that Mr. Virgo is also the person of the big brother, otherwise she would not trust a Marine so easily. In addition, Dover had an aura that made her feel very close, and Vivi always didn't think he wanted to be close to Dover. Although Dover sometimes smiles that makes her heart furry, from the point of Dover rubbing her little head occasionally, Vivi feels that the elder brother must be a gentle person in his heart. If Dover knew what Vivi was thinking, his expression would be very strange. Gentle. This is the first time anyone has used this word to describe him. At the moment, Dover leaned on the wide throne, his hands propped his side face, his dark and deep eyes opened and closed, and he said faintly. Cobra, are you still unwilling to tell where Pluton is? Cobra was at the bottom of his head dejectedly, and in just one night, Alabasta was completely in control of that person. Although the man seemed calm and gentle, and had a pretty good attitude towards his daughter, Cobra always had a shocking feeling every time he saw Dover. He would rather face Crocodile than face the man in front of him. But things cannot be decided by his incompetent king, he can only obey fate. However, the thing that could destroy the world was Cobra's bottom line, and he would not tell anyone anyway. Seeing Cobra kept silent, Dover let out a deep laugh. You are not guilty, and you are guilty of it. It seems that you don't understand this. The root of Alabasta's suffering is not the crocodile, but because of you, Cobra. Advertisement. It was like a thunder. Cobra's face suddenly became extremely pale. He knew that Dover was right. If he hadn't heard about Pluton, Crocodile wouldn't have followed Alabasta at all. But he did not have the ability to protect Alabasta. Cobra lost his soul and was extremely anguished. The root of the people's suffering is because of you. These words kept circulating in his mind. At this time, Vivi's daughter, Vivi, had a clear and sweet voice. Father, tell Brother Dover is Alabasta's great benefactor. Great benefactor. Cobra was surprised. Indeed, without Dover's arrival, Alabasta would still not know what hell he was in. To some extent, Dover did save Alabasta. Cobra gave a wry smile before his 11 or 2-year-old daughter could see clearly. He stood up, took a deep look at the infamous man and the daughter next to him, and was silent for a while. I will take you to a place. After that, he turned around and opened a certain organ in the palace, and walked into a secret passage. Oh, the entrance to the underground palace is hidden here. Dover raised his eyebrows, then glanced at Robin on the other side, and said, Robin, something you are interested in is coming. Watching how Dover crushed Crocodile throughout the whole process, and how he easily included Alabasta without attracting the attention of the world government, Robin's approach to Dover can be described as awe-inspiring. She doesn't want to leave Dover anymore. It's good to enjoy the cool under the big tree. This is Robin's current thinking. When Robin listened to Dover's words, her heartbeat, who was originally peaceful and quiet, suddenly accelerated. What is she interested in? There is only one thing in this world that interests Robin. Advertisement. That is history. To be more precise, it is the historical text that records the real history. It is Robin's dream to unravel the blank 100-year secret and learn the complete historical truth. Robin never told anyone about this dream, but the man in front of him. Robin bit his lower lip slightly, his beautiful eyes looked complicatedly at the back of the stalwart and broad man walking forward, and he sighed faintly in his heart. Is there nothing in this world that Dover doesn't know? ... The group followed the secret road and soon came to an underground palace. Vivi's big sapphire blue eyes looked around curiously. It was the first time that she knew there was such a place underground in Alabasta. Cobra led the crowd to the front of a stone tablet and said dully, everything you want to know is written on the stone tablet. After that, he looked at the woman who was called the son of the devil behind Dover. I really don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing for the world. Cobra sighed deeply. As this, the text of the history. Dover stepped forward and touched it with his hand, an ultimate cold touch came. The material used to cast the historical steel is so special that it cannot be destroyed by any attack. Only the Kazuki family of Wano-kuni have the ability to transform it. The historical text inscribed in the center of the steel was also written by the ancestors of the Kazuki clan. Wano-kuni. Dover chanted the name, and a deep light flashed in his eyes. The next moment, he looked back at the woman whose whole body was shaking slightly because of seeing the text of the history. Come on, Robin, tell me what's written on it. Asterisk. Chapter 41 Ancient Weapon Pluton. Request for collection of flowers tickets. Advertisement. Robin trembled, and came to the stone stele in the text of the history, with a hungry expression, as if he had seen the most precious treasure in the world. On the stone tablet, those strangely shaped characters that no one in the world can understand anymore except her are the lives of everyone in Ohara. Robin greedily read the historical text on the stele. But soon, she was disappointed, even a little lost. No, this is not what I'm looking for. From his side, a gentle male voice came. The real history is not so easy to find. Robin was taken aback, and then he came back to his senses, looking at Dover who was beside him with complicated eyes. Is he comforting himself? No, how could a man like him comfort people? Robin laughed at himself. For so many years, she has come here alone, so she doesn't care about comfort. Tell me, what's on it, Robin? Dover said lightly. His eyes were so deep and pitch black, falling on Robin's body, and Robin immediately felt that his whole body was seen through. Robin opened his mouth to speak, but he was worried about something, and he didn't make a sound for a long time. Recorded on the stele is the whereabouts of ancient weapon Pluton. Rumor has it that Pluton can easily destroy a country with one blow. If such a super weapon capable of shaking the world is obtained by the man beside him, what will the world be like? Robin couldn't imagine. Therefore, her first reaction was to deceive Dover and make up a content. Anyway, she is the only one in this world who can understand the text of history. But when it came to his lips, Robin couldn't say anything. Advertisement. Perhaps she thought she could not have fooled Dover. Or maybe, she didn't want to deceive Dover subconsciously. Although Robin had not known Dover for long, the man gave her a strange feeling. He is also both righteous and evil, both light and dark, as if he is a conglomeration of two extreme contradictions. Robin had never seen such a person before, even she herself hadn't noticed, she was involuntarily attracted to Dover. In short, Robin can't easily tell a lie to Dover, it's a bit ironic to her, a woman who has been living by deceit for 15 years. Dover still looked at Robin lightly, waiting for Robin's answer. Although he knew that Robin could not be completely loyal to him like Monet, Viola and other women at this time, but since he got on his ship, betrayal and deception were intolerable by Dover. Dover is using Pluton's clues to test Robin. If Robin deceives Dover with false information, even if Dover admires this woman very much, she will immediately be beaten into the cold palace by him and become a doll controlled by his parasite string from then on. Time passed by every minute. Suddenly, Robin sighed, but there was a touching smile on her face, and she couldn't see how contradictory she was just now. The above is the whereabouts of ancient weapon Pluton, it's right there. Robin blinked mischievously. Once she made up her mind not to deceive Dover, her heart felt relieved, and her expression became quite vivid and agile. Master Dover, Pluton is a very precious thing. Robin said mischievously, how are you going to reward me? The amorous feelings at the moment Robin blinked, even the little girl Vivi was dumbfounded, muttering in his heart, Sister Robin, are you a fairy going down? Dover was also amazed by Robin's beauty, and he was dumbfounded by Robin's sudden naughty behavior. Robin, really a unique woman in this world. A playful smile appeared on Dover's face. What reward do you want? Robin seemed to have succeeded in a scheme, and smiled. Then please Master Dover, and help the little girl find a piece of historical text. Yes. Dover nodded without thinking. He remembered that there was a piece of historical text on Sky Island, and it happened that Dover also planned to go to Sky Island later. Advertisement. Robin's pretty face showed a beautiful smile that eclipsed Baihua, and then she told Dover about Pluton's whereabouts without reservation. In the depths of Alabasta, there is a strange hole at a place unknown to many kilometers from the ground. It is about the size of an island, with strange plants growing on the ground, and inexplicable huge monsters surging inside. Whether it is a plant or a monster, they all present a pitch-black color, making this void look even more terrifying and crippling. Huh, that's disgusting. But in such a terrible place, a few figures walked in it calmly. They are here to find Pluton's Dover, Robin, and Vivi. Robin accidentally stepped on a black plant. She looked around and said in shock, here, it's like real hell. They came across an unknown number of black monsters as they walked along, and there were even cannibalistic and mobile plants. However, those monsters were all torn apart with a wave of the man beside him. As a result, no monster dared to attack them at this moment. If this is hell, then this man is Kun the devil facing hell. Robin couldn't help but sigh. It is naturally Dover who walks beside Robin. On the other side of Dover was Vivi, who was holding onto his big hand tightly in fear. Dover didn't have any expressions from beginning to end, neither the black monster nor the moving piranha could give him the slightest mood swing. Until they walked to the end of the void and saw the behemoth lying in the endless darkness, even Dover couldn't help but widen his eyes. Ancient weapon Pluton, with the name, God, found it. Chapter 42 Open the key to Pluton, Mingming and Vivi. Advertisement. The behemoth lying in the endless darkness, the whole body presents a black metallic luster. It stood there quietly, like a god who controls darkness, ancient and full of supreme majesty, giving people a heavy sense of oppression and shock. All three were briefly shocked by the behemoth in front of them. Robin's face was full of shock. This is one of the three ancient weapons. Pluton. Unbelievable, this kind of weapon actually exists in the world. Just looking at the size, the pirate ships and warships Robin has seen before are just like children's toys when compared with Pluton. It seems to have affected this space. Robin's observational power is extremely keen, and she has discovered an amazing fact. The reason why the plants and animals in this space are all black should be because of it. This fact is too terrifying. Pluton, unexpectedly can affect the surrounding environment. Robin immediately issued another question. What is the driving force behind such a huge monster? She looked at Dover subconsciously. This man, Robin always thought he knew everything. Dover touched his chin, and after the moment of shock, he quickly calmed down. Pluton. A weird smile appeared at the corner of Dover's mouth. It's better to call an aircraft carrier. That's right, the Pluton in front of you and the aircraft carrier from Dover's previous life are almost identical in appearance and size. It was just a row of dark holes instead of the runway on the aircraft carrier for the plane to glide. Dover guessed that that should be the place where the missile was fired. A mere blast hole could not look like that. And since Pluton is so similar to the aircraft carrier of Dover's previous life, then the driving force that drives it. Dover said with a chuckle. It shouldn't be nuclear power. Nuclear power. Robin frowned. What's that? A motivation that will never dry up. Advertisement. Dover's gaze seemed to penetrate countless spaces and times, and he saw a certain country in the previous life, and it was because of this that he dominated the world. Motivation that will never dry up. Robin shook his whole body, only to think it was unbelievable. Is there still that kind of energy in the world? But Pluton, a super weapon that shouldn't exist in this world, is clearly in front of her eyes, and the inexhaustible energy does not seem to be surprising. Moreover, only that kind of energy can match Pluton. So, how do you drive it? Robin seemed to be a little eager to try. Driving such a super battleship, the Buster Call, which was once her childhood nightmare, was nothing at all. Dover didn't answer this time. Although he understood the structure of Pluton, he didn't know how to operate it. After all, he had no chance to operate an aircraft carrier in his previous life. Dover looked to his left and kept holding Vivi tightly on his big hand. Vivi's little hands are soft and smooth, which is unique to a little girl, but they are a bit cold at this time. Obviously, although Vivi has an extraordinary nature, he is afraid of everything that is strange and inexplicable in front of him. Dover held Vivi's small hand with his backhand and felt the warmth of his big hand. Vivi's heart suddenly became extremely warm and comfortable, and his fear immediately disappeared. Brother Dover's gentle voice came. Vivi, do you feel anything? There was a lazy hum from Vivi Xiaochong's nose. It seemed that she was still immersed in the happiness wrapped in Dover's hands. The next moment, Vivi realized that Brother Dover was talking to himself, his face blushed, and he said quickly. What did it sense? A hint of disappointment flashed through Dover's mind. He originally guessed that Vivi should be the key to Pluton. Otherwise, it is impossible for the Imes Lord, who is hiding in the deepest part of Mariajoy, to kill a little girl like Vivi. But looking at Vivi's reaction at this moment, is his guess wrong? Dover did not know that Vivi had just thought carefully and was not on Pluton at all. Vivi seemed to feel Dover's disappointment too, and his heart suddenly picked up. She pressed her small mouth tightly, her eyes widened, and she carefully observed Pluton not far away. Vivi didn't want Brother Dover to be disappointed with him at all. Advertisement. Not long after, Vivi suddenly gave a whisper, and pointed to somewhere on Pluton. Brother Dover, look, there is a minion there. Dover and Robin looked at it immediately. It was still dark, where was anyone? There really is a little yellow guy, she still beckons to me. Seeing that Brother Dover and Sister Robin didn't seem to believe them, Vivi said anxiously. Really? Robin looked confused. That's really weird. Why didn't I see anything? Dover suddenly remembered something, his eyes flashed, and he asked, Vivi, what's the name of that little yellow man? Yeah, okay. Vivi's little head got busy. She should be communicating with the little yellow guy, but it doesn't seem to be using words, but it seems to be using consciousness. Soon, Vivi said to Dover, Brother Dover, the little yellow guy said that she is called Mingming, and she is the ship spirit of this warship. Sure enough. Dover nodded slightly. In the original book, Straw Hat Crew's first Golden Mary, there was a ship Elves, which can only be seen by special people. It seems that only Vivi can see this Pluton's ship spirit, which means that only Vivi can control Pluton in the entire world. But called Mingming. It seems to be a girl's name, but since it's a ship spirit, it doesn't matter whether it's gender. Vivi suddenly said unhappy. Mingming said that she hadn't moved for too many years, and she was a little sick recently. The little girl looked at Dover hopefully. Brother Dover, let's heal her. Get ill. It should mean that Pluton is damaged somewhere. Dover asked. How should I treat it? Seeing that Brother Dover did not refuse, Vivi jumped up again and said, Mingming said that she only needs to find her internal drawings, and she can treat it by herself. Pluton drawings. Dover's eyes flashed, and it seemed that he had to go to the city of Seven Waters. Chapter 43 The City of Seven Waters, Khalifa's Fright. Advertisement. The city of Seven Waters is a famous shipbuilding city. Ancient weapon Pluton is made by the ancient shipsmiths in the capital of the Seven Waters. The most recent legendary boatmaker Tom in the city of Seven Waters was the one who built the Oro Jackson for Roger, the One Piece King, and he was also executed by the world government for this crime. Bingshan, one of Tom's disciples, is now the head of the Seven Waters city. However, although the city of Seven Waters looks calm, it is secretly perilous. In the darkness, there were already a pair of eyes staring at the Pluton drawing in Bingberg's hand. That is CP9, a secret espionage organization under the direct management of the world government. Not long ago, CP9 sneaked into the city of Seven Waters and quickly gained the trust of Shichong Bingshan. One of its members, Khalifa, even became Bingshan's secretary. At this moment, Khalifa, dressed in a silk net black dress, was holding a stack of documents and walking towards Bingshan's office. HMPH, I must be the first person to get the Pluton drawing, even Lu Qi, I am not closer to the Pluton drawing. Khalifa thought triumphantly, his usual sweet smile appeared on his face. She came to Bingberg to report to work. Dong dong, knocked on the door for a while, but there was no response in the room. As the iceberg not there. Khalifa's eyes flickered, and this was a good opportunity to search Iceberg's office. She opened the door of the office, but was surprised to find that Bingberg was sitting on the chair behind the desk. What surprised her even more was that the iceberg, who had always been calm, had cold sweat on her forehead, and her whole body was trembling slightly, as if she had seen something terrible. No, Bingberg is afraid of that person. Khalifa immediately discovered that there was a tall and stalwart figure with her back facing her in the room. Advertisement. Then, who is it? Just a back figure made her feel a strong hockey and coercion. Such power, even Rob Lucci, the strongest CP9, is far behind. The city of Seven Waters, when did such a terrible man come? For an instant, Khalifa even had the urge to turn around and run away. But she is an elite spy of CP9, knowing that she must not act rashly at this time. Khalifa suppressed the panic in his heart, forced out a sweet smile like before, and said, Master Shi, you have a guest here. Bingshan also saw Khalifa. He didn't intend to involve himself, the new secretary who had just taken office. But since Khalifa came in, Bingberg knew that the matter was irreversible. Even if Khalifa immediately ran away, it would be impossible to escape the clutches of the man in front of him. Bingshan sighed and said to his glamorous secretary, Khalifa, don't talk later. Khalifa nodded. She cautiously came to the iceberg and glanced at the person across the iceberg secretly. Just a glance, a panic of ultimate, immediately rushed to Khalifa's heart. 7 warlords of the sea, more. Doflamingo. Khalifa screamed almost uncontrollably. She regrets so much at this moment. Just now, she should turn around and run away without hesitation, fleeing desperately. Because, as a secret agent of the government, Khalifa knows better than Bingberg the horror of the man before Byakugan. Hey. The person who made the iceberg so nervous and Khalifa so scared was naturally Dover, who came to get Pluton's drawings. Dover glanced faintly at Khalifa, and let out a low smile that made the latter's heart tremble. Advertisement. It turned out to be you. It seems that the world government has already started drawing the idea of Pluton drawings. Khalifa's face instantly turned pale, and his body shook slightly, as if he could not stand. On the side, Bingshan's face suddenly changed. Doflamingo, what do you mean by this? Ha ha. Dover smiled deeply. Do you think that only I know that you have Pluton drawings? World government is interested in it earlier than me. Bingberg's heart was shaken, and he turned his head and stared at Khalifa in disbelief. Are you a member of the government? At this time, Khalifa, wherever she dared to lie in front of Dover, her face was pale and nodded. Bingberg was limp, leaning weakly on the chair, and laughed at himself. Government. Hee. It turns out that the world government has been eyeing it a long time ago. I'm really stupid. Bingshan originally thought that although he was unable to resist Doflamingo, he could use the power of the world government to prevent Dover from obtaining the Pluton drawings. However, I never expected that Dover in front was a fierce tiger, but the world government behind was a wolf who cannibalized people without spitting out bones. With tigers in front and wolves behind, the iceberg has no way to retreat. Knowing this, I should have given the Pluton drawings to junior brother Frankie sooner. Bingshan thought desperately. At this time, Khalifa suddenly reacted to one thing. She was a CP9 spy, and Dover was Seven Warlords of the Sea. Both of them should belong to the world government. Khalifa barely calmed down, and said with a forced smile. Lord Doflamingo, I am a member of the secret agency CP9 of the world government, and I stand on the same side as you. Dover didn't expect Khalifa to say such innocent things, and it seemed that this woman really feared him from the bottom of her heart. Dover's eyes were playful, and Khalifa's heart was frowned upon. For a long time, Dover's indifferent words, as if the gods contempt the ants, caused Khalifa to fall into a bottomless abyss in an instant. World government. That kind of disgusting thing, what right do you have to stand with me? Asterisk. Chapter 44 Dover's kingly appearance, Rob Lucci frightened. Advertisement. What qualifications does the world government have to stand with me? Dover's indifferent words and lofty attitude, not only Khalifa, but even Bingberg was deeply shocked. This man did not put the world government, which has ruled the world for 800 years, into his eyes at all. To say this to another person, Khalifa and Bingberg would definitely laugh at this person's ignorance, fearlessness, and arrogance. But for Dover, they didn't feel that way at all, but took it for granted. This is the most terrible place. What kind of people can make people come into being, even if it is compared with the world government, it is nothing short of nothing. Only the king, the supreme king. In Dover, there is such a king's posture. When Khalifa and Bingberg thought of this, they were shocked beyond words. In the face of a true king, what are they mortals? Dover didn't care about Khalifa and Bingberg's thoughts at this time. He faintly commanded. Khalifa, go call all the other CP9 members over, so I don't have to look for them one by one later. Now that I met the loyal dog of the world government, CP9, it didn't take a bit of effort to get rid of it. The most important thing is that he remembers that the death of Robin's mother and the destruction of O'Hara are inseparable from the father of CP9's current commander, Spandam, and Spandane, so he also helps the little woman who completely submits to him to solve this point. It's not even troublesome. Khalifa nodded blankly. She took out the phone worm and called the other CP9 members one by one. She looked obedient and looked like Dover's most loyal subordinate. After the call, Khalifa realized what he had just done. A wry smile suddenly appeared on the bright red lips. What happened to me? Why did the body obey the man's orders involuntarily? Khalifa didn't know that she had been overwhelmed by Dover's kingly posture, and she treated Dover as a god deep in her heart. From then on, it was impossible for a trace of defying Dover to arise. After a while, the CP9 members who received Khalifa's call came one after another. Advertisement. Anything urgent. Call us all, Khalifa. As soon as we met, someone complained. But the next second, everyone was stunned. They saw the iceberg in the room. Doesn't this mean that all the lurking potential of oneself and others these days have been exposed? Khalifa, you betrayed us. Kaku, who ranked second in CP9 in strength, was very furious and asked sharply. The others, except Rob Lucci, glared at Khalifa. Rob Lucci has been staring at the chair opposite the iceberg from the moment he came in. His whole body muscles are tight, and his hands almost subconsciously become the shape of claws. This is a posture that only Rob Lucci will reveal when he encounters an extremely powerful enemy. Lucky, what are you going to do with Khalifa? Hey, Luck. Kaku was about to ask Rob Lucci's opinion. He suddenly discovered the latter's anomaly and was quite surprised. Lucci, what's wrong with you? There is no need to be so nervous when dealing with a small Khalifa. Although Khalifa's strength is already very strong compared to ordinary people, it is not at all ranked in CP9. What's more, Rob Lucci is still the strongest in CP9. Therefore, Kaku was extremely surprised by Rob Lucci's nervousness. Kaku, haven't you found it yet? Rob Lucci said with unprecedented solemnity, the scariest enemy here is not Khalifa at all. What? When Lucci said this, everyone was shocked. The CP9 people, who were all attracted by Khalifa and Bingberg just now, discovered that there was still one person in the room. That is, all CP9 members including Rob Lucci stared involuntarily. Dover turned the chair slowly, his eyelids lifted slightly, and he glanced lightly. The CP9 people who were scanned by him immediately felt a chill in their hearts. Advertisement. In addition, they finally saw Dover's face, and they were even more shocked. Heavenly Yaksha. Doflamingo. Most people in CP9 can't help but back up a few steps, their faces pale. Why? Why is Doflamingo here? Even though they are the CP9 that the world has heard of, they are very self-aware in the face of Dover. This man is not something they can provoke. Oh, it's all here. Dover spoke lightly, and everyone in CP9 was indistinguishable from ants in his eyes. Dover didn't bother to talk nonsense either. He lifted his finger lightly, and a thread as thin as the ultimate shot out quickly from his fingertips. Careful, Rob Lucci yelled suddenly, and his figure violently retreated at the same time. The other CP9 members did not react as quickly as Rob Lucci. When they were still confused, they were pierced by Dover's line, even if they passed out. Dead. There was a dead silence in the house. The secret agency of the world government, the powerful CP9 that claims to be able to penetrate into any enemy and obtain any confidential espionage, was almost wiped out in the blink of an eye. And that person just raised a finger. Such a difference in strength made Rob Lucci, the only survivor, the strongest person known as CP9 in 800 years, could not help but tremble all over. Too strong. Too strong. Rob Lucci roared wildly in his heart. This is not the strength of 7 warlords of the sea at all. Rob Lucci has seen a few 7 warlords of the sea. Although they are also very strong, they are far from as strong as the man in front of him. Rob Lucci suddenly felt that what he is facing right now is not a Shichibukai at all, but 4 emperors, a 4 emperors who is near the new world and sits above hundreds of millions of people. Asterisk. Chapter 45 CP9 Surrender and reach out to the clutches of celestial dragons. Advertisement. Oh, Dover raised his eyebrows lightly. With his casual blow, Rob Lucci actually flashed past, which surprised Dover slightly. It seems that Rob Lucci is worthy of being the strongest person in CP9 in 800 years, and his strength is indeed one level higher than other CP9 members. However, that's it. The strong ants are still ants. Dover raised a finger again, and another thread as thin as ultimate shot out. Here again. This time it's 2. Rob Lucci's eyes were widened, and his spirit was tense to the extreme. Dover's casual blow, for him, is undoubtedly a life-threatening chase. No, it's too fast, I can't hide it at all. Rob Lucci's eyes are about to split, and the 2 threads have left him nowhere to escape at this time. In desperation, Rob Lucci could only stimulate Devil Fruit's ability. His upper body turned into the shape of a leopard, his speed suddenly increased, and he was dangerously away from Dover's attack. So close. Rob Lucci panted heavily, feeling scared for a while. Just now, as long as he hesitates a little more, his end will be no different from other CP9s. Zone fruit capable person. Dover glanced at Rob Lucci. For this person's dodge again, he did not change his expression, but he became interested in the devil fruit on Rob Lucci. Dover remembers that the man-made devil fruit smile is only zone. Thinking of smile, Dover thinks of Geyser Current and Punk Hazard. Dover is wandering, but Rob Lucci is facing the biggest life and death crisis in his life. Rob Lucci didn't dare to relax, he stared at Dover's fingers, for fear that a third thread would shoot there. Khalifa and Bingberg saw everything in their eyes, but they didn't feel much shock. Advertisement. The 2 who were deeply awed by the posture of King Dover felt that Dover raised his finger and killed the feared CP9 in seconds. Khalifa and Bingberg could only smile bitterly at the thought that was in their hearts. Dover's supreme power has penetrated deeply into their bones. At this time, Khalifa suddenly said, Lucci, give up your fearless resistance, you can't be the opponent of Lord Doflamingo. Rob Lucci was startled, he took a deep look at Khalifa, and this woman seemed to betray them indeed. Khalifa, what do you want to say? Do you want me to catch it? Rob Lucci spoke in a deep voice. Khalifa shook her head lightly, and a bold idea came to her mind just now. This idea gave Khalifa the hope of surviving. She doesn't think Dover will let her alone after he gets rid of everyone in CP9. How about catching without holding hands? Khalifa said coldly, can you escape from Master Dover? Rob Lucci's tone stagnated. The 2 threads that Dover casually pushed him to the limit, and he didn't even hold the third thread. Rob Lucci has already determined from the bottom of his heart that as long as Dover is a little serious, there is only a dead end waiting for him. Therefore, Rob Lucci chose to remain silent, knowing that Khalifa should have something to follow. Instead of dying here, rather than being a dog for the world government. Sure enough, Khalifa continued, it is better to submit to Lord Dover and be loyal to Lord Dover. This is the only way Khalifa can think of to survive. Of course, is this because she has completely convinced Dover, regardless of whether her life is in danger, will completely fall to Dover, only she knows. After listening to Khalifa's words, Rob Lucci remained silent for a long time. Afterwards, the violent man who was accustomed to killing others bowed down to Dover. Master Doflamingo. Rob Lucci bowed his head and bowed respectfully. Although Dover was thinking about Punk Hazard, of course he was listening to the conversation between Khalifa and Rob Lucci. Advertisement. Dover looked back at Khalifa, who was wearing a mesh black silk skirt, who was a little clever woman. This look from Dover made Khalifa almost can't help but feel flattered. Her eyes became moisturized, and her bright red lips opened and closed slightly. But Dover only glanced at her, then glanced at her, his eyes falling on Rob Lucci who bowed to him. Rob Lucci, I heard that you were a man with a beast in his heart. The corner of Dover's mouth evokes a playful, cold arc. But you have to hide the beast in your heart. The voice seemed to float from hell. Rob Lucci felt a bit of chill, and sweat dripped down his cheeks. Because I might have killed that beast by accident. When the last word of Dover fell, Rob Lucci was soaked in sweat. His heart became more horrified than ever before. Just now, he was still trying to compromise with Dover and escape the disaster. But at this moment, Rob Lucci understood that since he had bowed to this man, he would never look back. Because there is only one end, and that is death. Rob Lucci's voice trembled, and he prayed again in fear. Master Doflamingo, I, Rob Lucci, will be loyal to you from now on. Dover looked at Rob Lucci's panic posture indifferently. No matter whether this person was true or false, he would not trust this person. Similarly, he will not trust other people in CP9. However, he does have something to do with CP9 now, so he simply let them go for the time being. Dover raised a hand and drilled several threads into Rob Lucci, Khalifa, and other CP9 members who passed out. When parasite string entered the body, Rob Lucci and Khalifa knew that their lives and deaths would no longer be their own. After taking full control of CP9, Dover's eyes suddenly became extremely deep. He said a sentence that made Rob Lucci, Khalifa, and even Bingbird creepy. You guys, do everything you can to gain the trust of celestial dragons, and best of all, you can become their direct agency. Dover actually wanted to extend his clutches to celestial dragons' heads. Asterisk. Chapter 46 Letter from Bellamy. Advertisement. When Dover left the city of Seven Waters with the Pluton drawings and returned to Alabasta. In Bingshan's office, the CP9 member who had fainted also woke up at this time. Hearing Rob Lucci telling what had just happened, they all felt terrified at Dover's strength and ambition. God, Lord Heavenly Yaksha, are you going to attack celestial dragons? Kaku swallowed hard. Although they are accustomed to murder and arson in CP9, they are all aimed at ordinary people. They can't even think about the celestial dragons, who lives high in the Holy Land Mariajoy and descendants of the founder. With the support of that adult, what a trivial celestial dragons. Rob Lucci sneered. He was a cruel man by nature. Starting with the supreme celestial dragons made him feel an unprecedented excitement. In addition, his fear of Dover was carved into his bones, and Rob Lucci could no longer have the idea of defying Dover at this moment. Khalifa carefully observes the reaction of every CP9 member. If someone is found to be unfaithful to Lord Dover, or even wants to betray, she will immediately report to Lord Dover. As Dover said earlier, the woman Khalifa is indeed a bit clever. She wants to gain more trust from Dover through this method to show her difference from other CP9 members. Master Khalifa looked at the iceberg coldly again. Will you tell me what's going on here? Bingshan shook his head silently. He had already given the Pluton drawings to Dover. How could he do such a thing? Celestial dragons. Since he wants to attack celestial dragons, why not give him the Pluton drawing? This is what Bingbird thought at the time. The iceberg hates the celestial dragons who killed his mentor. Khalifa's bright red lips curled up in a dangerously confusing arc. Then, let us discuss how to cover things up here and gain the trust of celestial dragons. Advertisement. Dover didn't know what happened in Bingbird's office, but even if he did, he would only laugh at Khalifa's cleverness. Dover is not an indifferent person. On the contrary, he has a strong possessive desire for women he likes. But people at Khalifa's level can't even enter his eyes. Compared to Khalifa, Dover is more concerned about Rob Lucci. This person is known as the strongest person in CP9 for 800 years, which is indeed a bit extraordinary. Before Dover left, he easily turned Spandam into dementia, depending on what step this person can do with Spandam. These thoughts flashed through his mind, and a cold sneer evoked at the corner of Dover's mouth. Celestial dragons. Is it really supreme? Arriving at Alabasta, Robin and Vivi greeted them. There are two beauties, one big and one small, one with a charming smile and the other cute and lovely. When Dover walked over, the two women gathered around him, one from the left and the other from the right. Robin smiled and asked, "Have you got it?" Dover nodded indifferently. There was a small accident, but it's nothing. Robin knew that the small accident that Dover said must be a big trouble for ordinary people. But what Robin didn't know was that that little accident was still related to her. In the original book, Robin was tortured by CP9 quite miserably, and Straw Hat Crew was almost wiped out. Vivi cheered and jumped up. Mingming is rescued, let's go to heal Mingming. This little girl has recently got along with Pluton's ship elves, and she has become the best girlfriends. The three of them walked all the way to a very secret place in Alabasta, which was created by Dover with his ability. No one could enter except him and the people he allowed. Pluton, originally deep underground, was placed here by Dover. Advertisement. Seeing Pluton again, Dover can still feel Pluton's magnificent and majestic aura, the black metal structure, dozens of dark missile holes, and it exudes endless chill. To be honest, Dover is quite curious about the actual power of Pluton. He couldn't wait to test it. But to Dover's disappointment, Mingming told Vivi after getting the drawing that she had not moved for thousands of years, and it would take a long time for her to repair it by herself. Seeing Dover seemed disappointed, Vivi's anxious eyes were almost red. Robin said at this moment. Master Dover, a pirate named Bellamy, sent a letter when you went to the city of Seven Waters. I think you might be interested. Oh, Dover raised his eyebrows. Bellamy was the first chess piece he played in East Blue. At the beginning, Dover told Bellamy to expand the site in East Blue as much as possible, but I don't know how he is doing now. Dover took the letter from Robin. To his surprise, Bellamy simply stated his expansion status in the letter. The main content was a devil fruit that Dover had been asking about for a long time. Information. Mara Mara fruit. Dover flashed in his eyes. This powerful Logia fruit is the devil fruit that Dover wants Virgo to eat. In the original book, Mara Mara fruit was first eaten by Ace and later by Luffy's second brother Sabo. But at this point in time, Ace has not yet gone to sea, and Mara Mara fruit still exists in a corner of the world. Dover launched the network of the underground world to search for Mara Mara fruit, but Bellamy found it first. But it is right to think about it. Ace went to sea from Windmill Village more than 2 years later, and Mara Mara fruit should be in East Blue. Chapter 47 Mara Mara fruit and Ace. Advertisement. East Blue. Within the kingdom of Goa, a certain sea area tens of kilometers away from Windmill Village. A young man with naked torso and sweating profusely is rowing his oars. He came out secretly, a teenager who is adventurous by nature, and has explored all the places around the village. He gradually felt that the village was really boring, especially the old man who suddenly went home and began to care for the elderly. Tenton whispered in his ear, "I want to be a powerful sea soldier," which annoyed the young man. He believes that he should belong to a broader world. So, he sneaked out. The young man's name is Portgas D. Ace. Few people know that he is actually the son of the legendary One Piece King Gordy. Roger. However, Ace recently heard that a great pirate who was very famous in East Blue came to the kingdom of Goya. Ace, who is already a man at his own expense, immediately shines. He wants to challenge the big pirate, defeat him, and prove himself to the annoying old man at home. Ace finally came to the island where the great pirate was stationed. He took a deep breath and adjusted his state to the most perfect level. Come on. Ace's face showed self-confidence and a high spirit of fighting against young people. I, Portgas D. Ace, will become known as East Blue after today's war. ... After receiving Bellamy's letter, Dover set off for the location of Mara Mara fruit. According to Bellamy, Mara Mara fruit fell into the hands of a pirate named Tagler. And Tagler is the younger brother of the fierce big pirate Targus. Therefore, Bellamy didn't dare to act rashly, and quickly wrote to Dover. Targus. Dover thought the name was familiar, but Robin reminded him that it was a pirate he killed casually when the two met for the first time. It seems that this person's death has not yet been announced by Marine. Advertisement. Dover thought that Sengoku might have been blackmailed by him more than 1 billion Baileys, and he even hated Targus, so that he ignored his death, and suddenly found it quite interesting. So he took Robin to Tagler. Now Tagler is quite embarrassed. Because of the inexplicable death of his elder brother, he was hit by several enemies together. He left his previous territory completely and he became a bereaved dog. But perhaps it was Tagler who was running from time to time. In the process of fleeing, he unexpectedly found a devil fruit, which is still the most powerful Logia. Tagler was ecstatic. He was about to eat Mara Mara fruit, but he was found by his enemies. After a death fight and several days of fleeing, Tagler finally came to this deserted island. Ha ha ha, Mara Mara fruit is mine. Tiger, who was in a panic, laughed wildly at this time, his eyes were full of madness. As long as he eats this Mara Mara fruit, his strength will immediately skyrocket. Those enemies who have chased him down, he will burn them to death one by one. Burn to death, all burn to death. With such a crazy idea, Tagler couldn't wait any longer, and opened his mouth to bite at the Mara Mara fruit in his hand. Click. There was a crisp sound. Tagler bit his finger, and because of too much force, he bit his finger bone off. What happened? Where is my Mara Mara fruit? Tagler was at a loss for a while. But in the next second, his vitality was quickly passing away, and he couldn't even feel the pain of being bitten off his finger bones. I'm going to die too. Who killed me? What the hell is going on? Countless questions filled Tagler's mind. When he fell down, he finally caught a glimpse of a man and a woman standing in the distance, seeming to be chatting. That man, Doflamingo, he killed my eldest brother. This was Tagler's last thought. Advertisement. At the most proud and ecstatic moment of life, it is so pitiful to die so unclearly. Robin looked at Tagler's blank death, and said with a very calm expression. He was clearly saying that the other party was pitiful, but he used such a calm expression. In this world, I am afraid that only Robin would do such a thing. Dover played with the Mara Mara fruit on his hand, and for a while, he glanced at some grass at random. Boy, isn't it coming out? That guy is dead. Robin's pretty face suddenly showed a trace of surprise. There are other people on this desert island. ... After Ace came to the island, he quickly found Tagler with his keen search ability. But Ace did not act rashly. After all, the other party was a long-established great pirate, and he was only a 14 or 5-year-old boy. When Ace was about to observe Tagler for a while, he suddenly realized that Tagler was dead. And the Mara Mara fruit in his hand is gone. Ace was taken aback immediately. At this time, he discovered that a man and a woman had also been on the island without knowing when. The two, who are they? Ace's personality is similar to Luffy, and he doesn't like to watch the news. Therefore, he now doesn't even know Shichibukai, Dover, and Robin, the son of the devil. However, this does not prevent Ace from seeing the extraordinary men and women in front of him, especially the man, even giving Ace a feeling of suffocation. Ace didn't dare to act rashly. However, when he saw the man glance at him, Ace knew he had been spotted. Ace simply stopped hiding, especially Dover's little devil, which made Ace intolerable. I'm not a kid. Ace jumped out and stared at Dover and Robin fiercely. He raised his muscular arms. I'm a real man. Also, you two have robbed my prey, you must give me an explanation. Asterisk. Chapter 48 The Man Who Sheds the Blood of the Devil. Advertisement. You two robbed me of my prey, you must give me an explanation. Ace is young and frivolous, the newborn calf is not afraid of tigers, and has no idea what kind of existence he is talking to. Although he could see that Dover was a terrible opponent at a glance, he not only did not flinch, but even aroused his inner fighting spirit. It can only be said that Ace at this time is the same as when he grows up, only with blood and courage, and there is no self-knowledge. In the original book, he insisted on going his own way and had to seek revenge on Blackbeard alone. In the end, he not only died, but also made the Whitebeard pirates history. Although, this is indeed a kind of manly spirit, but in Dover's view, it is too naive and naive. In this world of pirates where the weak and the strong eat, they don't have enough strength, and they are too naive and will only find their own way of death. For example, at this moment, Dover can wipe Ace from the world with a gentle stretch of his hand. What a fierce kid. Robin was very surprised at Ace, who suddenly jumped out. She is as keen as her insight, and she didn't even discover Ace's hiding just now. Robin instinctively, Ace is probably not an ordinary teenager. I said, I'm not a kid, let alone a kid. Ace shouted angrily, you guys, are you listening to me? Robin covered his mouth and smiled, brightly moving, glanced at Dover beside him, and smiled. It seems that you don't know us, you are still a kid. With a few simple words, Robin made Ace so angry that he was almost furious, but he had nothing to refute. Compared with the sharp mouth and black belly, 10 Ace is not as good as 1 Robin. Calm down, I want to calm down, she is just a woman, as a man, she shouldn't care about a woman. Ace forced himself to calm down, he looked at Dover, his head held high. Hey, I don't know the same as a woman, but you. Ace said in a magnificent manner, you killed my prey, so I want to challenge you. As soon as these words came out, Robin couldn't help but chuck and laughed. Challenge Dover, this kid really dared to say. Did he know that even the strongest pirate in East Blue didn't have the courage to say this sentence? What are you laughing at? Ace glared at Robin, he couldn't tolerate this woman who underestimated him. Advertisement. At this time, Dover let out a low, unintelligible laugh, and his eyes were deep, gleaming with a light that Robin couldn't understand. Hey, are you sure you want to challenge me? Certainly, Ace shouted Kaido. He clenched his fists, as if eager to try. Ha, Dover said meaningfully, yes, I accept your challenge. After that, Dover stood with his hands behind him, looking at Ace teasingly like a cat playing with a mouse. Seeing Dover despising him so much, Ace was even more angry. He didn't talk nonsense, and rushed forward with his fist. I have to say that Ace's current strength is already a bit decent, fast, and full of momentum. The pirates waiting for a bounty of tens of millions are not necessarily his opponents. But it is a pity that the person Ace is facing at this moment is not at all the existence he can imagine now. In Dover's eyes, Ace is no different from a baby. Robin also put his arms around his chest, standing aside watching the good show. Although she didn't know why Dover would tease this kid in a leisurely manner, she was as smart as her and wouldn't say much. Seeing Ace take a few breaths, he rushed to Dover. It's done. Ace was overjoyed. He initially thought Dover was a terrible opponent, but he didn't expect that he would approach the opponent so easily. Take me a punch. Ace shook a tight fist confidently. He was confident that Dover couldn't escape at such a close distance. However, the accident happened suddenly. Ace had just punched his fist, suddenly his upper body staggered, and immediately fell into a dog to chew on mud. What's going on? Advertisement. Ace looked up blankly. Due to the rushing force just now, he fell very hard in this fall, and his bones almost fell apart. Ace tried to squeeze his sore arm, but suddenly realized that he couldn't move. Boy, you are defeated. Dover's faint voice came, and Ace reacted. Before he knew it, he had already followed the other side's way. How could it be like this? I lost. It was so simple to lose. In an instant, Ace's heart, which was originally higher than the sky, fell to the bottom. He was lost, he never thought he was so weak. In fact, we can't blame Ace for being weak. At this age with such strength, Ace is already considered a genius. Ace can only be blamed for being too naive and arrogant, choosing the wrong opponent. Dover moved his finger lightly, retracting the thread that bound Ace, and said in a playful tone, boy, let's go back and practice hard. After speaking, he turned around and left. Ace got up to his feet, briefly lost in despair. Without frustrating Ace, he exhausted all his strength and shouted. One day, I, Portgas Ace, will definitely defeat you and become the strongest in the world. Dover paused, then looked back at Ace with profound meaning. The world's strongest. Hehehe. Now recognized as the strongest in the world, but for Emperor's Whitebeard. After that, Dover took Robin and disappeared into the sky in the blink of an eye. Ace stared blankly at Dover's disappearing back. After a long time, he made up his mind and shouted, then I will defeat that Whitebeard first, and then challenge you. The young boy's innocent shout drifted in the wind, drifting in the ears of Dover and Robin who were going away. Robin asked curiously, that kid, seems a bit extraordinary. Dover looked at the stunning face of the woman close at hand, and a wicked smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Of course it's extraordinary. As far as the world government is concerned, that kid is just like you, with devil's blood flowing on him. Asterisk. Chapter 49 Dover's Plan, Ace's Determination. Advertisement. Devil's blood. Robin shook slightly, and the smile on his face disappeared. She has been called the son of the devil by the world government since the age of 8, and she is very sensitive to the word devil. Not to mention, O'Hara was destroyed under Buster Call. Ha ha ha. Dover said with a deep gaze, that kid is the only son of One Piece King Dear D. Roger. What? Robin was really shocked this time. 18 years ago, the Pirate King Gore D. Roger, who was executed by Marine, still had heirs in this world. After the shock, Robin fell silent. If this news spreads out, then that little devil, like himself, will be chased by the whole world. Dover didn't know Ace's life experience, which touched Robin's deepest nightmare. The reason Dover let Ace go and said that before leaving was because he knew that Ace and Whitebeard had a constant fate. Dover wanted this kind of fate to be implicated, to happen a little earlier, so that it would be of great benefit to his future plans. Whitebeard Pirates vs. Marine Headquarters. Hehehehe. The extremely tragic and vast top war in this original book, if driven by Dover's secret clutches, happened ahead of time, it would be really interesting. Dover's eyes surged. The plan that has existed in his mind since he passed through, enough to subvert the world government and cause the world to produce an unprecedented huge earthquake, has finally gradually taken shape. At this time, Robin, who had been silent for a long time, suddenly asked, she had already had doubts in her heart. Although you are very powerful, you are still Shichibukai. But, I am Theosin of the Devil. I don't know when, and there may even be Marine Admiral coming. Are you really not worried? After speaking, Robin pursed his red lips, his eyes are bright, but at this time he was a little dim, even a hint of tension, and he looked at the man in front of him tightly. Dover was slightly surprised. Advertisement. He realized that Ace's life experience aroused the fear in the heart of the woman next to him. Hume. Dover laughed his usual low laugh. If Robin knew the plan that had just flashed in his mind, then he would never ask such a question again. Son of the devil, Marine Admiral. Dover smiled wickedly, and he stirred up the chin of the stunning woman in front of him. You still don't know me enough, Robin. I am a real demon. The real demon. For a moment, Robin was shocked by the overwhelming aura of the man close at hand. It took a long time for Robin to return to his senses, and a trace of complexity flashed in his beautiful eyes. Devil, the word Robin used to fear and hate, suddenly made her feel a little kind and cute. Robin twisted his waist, hiding from Dover's big hand holding her chin, his face regained its usual brilliance. Master Devil, you can't bully me, a weak little girl. Robin blinked his eyes mischievously, and the sweetness of a moment was enough to make heaven and earth embarrassed. ... After Ace was easily crushed by Dover, he returned to Windmill Village with a little dejection. Although he yelled to defeat Whitebeard and defeat Dover, not long ago, he is not a fool, knowing that there is a huge gap between his strength and those two. He didn't know how long it would take to really defeat those two. No, I can't waste time in the village anymore. Suddenly, Ace's eyes were firm. He decided that he would go out to sea, go to the real sea. Advertisement. In this way, his strength will improve faster. But before that, he has to fully strengthen his cultivation. When Ace returned home, he kicked open the wooden door in the yard and said loudly to the old man in the yard who was playing childish games with his grandson. Old man, hurry up and teach me to practice. The old man in Ace's mouth is the marine hero, Garp, who was so angry that Dover almost vomited blood, so Sengoku allowed him to go home and rest for a while. The child opposite Garp is naturally his grandson, Monkey D. Luffy. Luffy, who was still a kid, saw Ace and immediately ran over with a smile. Ace, where did you go to play? I haven't seen you all day. Garp looked at the broken wooden door that was kicked by Ace, and shouted angrily. It took me all morning to make the door. Ace, you damn it kid. With that said, Garp stepped forward to twist Ace's ears, and continued to yell while twisting. Dare to call me old man, hurry up and call me grandpa. However, to Garp's surprise, Ace, who used to be yelling pain when he twisted his ears, didn't even change his face. Wow, Ace is so powerful, it doesn't hurt at all. Luffy said admiringly, and then smiled complacently. However, I'm not afraid of grandpa twisting my ears, I'm a rubber man. Old man, teach me to practice, I want to become stronger. Ace ignored Garp's anger and Luffy's play, repeating his first words. Oh, Garp was shocked by Ace's solemn determination. Did this kid take the wrong medicine today? In the past, he was most afraid of being forced to practice by himself. Garp was puzzled, letting go of Ace's ears, and said, Ace, what's the matter with you? Why are you thinking about cultivation? For Garp's question, Ace had prepared for it, and a subtle sly light flashed in his eyes. Because, I want to be a strong seaman, Grandpa Garp. Asterisk. Chapter 50 Bellamy's Expansion, Nami of Arlong Paradise. Advertisement. Ace successfully fooled Garp. When Garp heard that Ace said that he wanted to be a strong seaman, he smiled immediately. Without a word, he immediately began to teach Ace to practice. However, 2 months later, I had initially learned armament hockey and observation hockey's Ace. One early morning, I boarded a small boat alone as a pirate. Moreover, Luffy who went to see him off, Tenten also quarreled after returning home, and when he grew up, he would follow Ace's footsteps and become a pirate. After hearing the news, Garp was almost furious. At the same time, the culprit that caused this scene was leaning on the soft chair indifferently, taking the wine handed by the beauty beside him. After Robin finished serving Dover, he stood aside and looked around curiously. This is a place called Arlong Paradise. It is said that it controls more than a dozen small villages around it, and the owner here is actually a group of murlocs. However, of course it belongs to the man next to him. Sorry, Lord Doflamingo. Bellamy knelt down and said with a shame. It is incompetent for you to get Mara fruit by yourself. Bellamy was unable to take down Mara fruit for Dover immediately because of a battle with Arlong, the murloc leader here. No. From above, Dover came with a hint of appreciation. Bellamy, what you did has exceeded my expectations. Bellamy did a good job. At the beginning, Dover asked him to expand his territory as much as possible, but with Bellamy's strength, it would be nice to desperately win a country. However, to Dover's surprise, Bellamy did not choose to be reckless. Bellamy is the first to find those little pirates who are weaker than him and occupy their territory. After accumulating a certain amount of strength and funds, Bellamy began to focus on larger villages and towns. He used financial bribery, threats of force, exposing crimes to Marine, etc., to force Marine leaders in those villages and towns to cooperate with him. Advertisement. Using this method, Bellamy really conquered a lot of territory. The surrounding 20 villages and towns under the rule of Arlong Paradise are the biggest gains since Bellamy's expansion. The mouse colonel of the Marine branch responsible for the safety of this area has become Bellamy's running dogs. Bellamy trembled with excitement when he heard Dover's praise. His most admired and respected Lord Doflamingo finally agrees with him. Dover took a sip of the wine, and the scarlet liquor imprinted on his dark and deep eyes. Bellamy, from now on, you can hold back for a while and accumulate as much strength as possible. Yes, Lord Doflamingo. Bellamy suppressed the ecstasy in his heart. He knew that the man in front of him who he would never be able to stand by, must be brewing a huge plan that would shock the world. And he just needs to be a pawn. In the surging tide of this era, it is Bellamy's lifelong desire to do his best to serve Doflamingo-sama allegiance. Behind Bellamy stood a beautiful girl with orange hair. The girl pressed her lips tightly, and her little hand behind her waist was also tightly clenched. It can be seen that although she tried to hide her tension, she still couldn't control the fear in her heart. At this time, Bellamy raised his head, glanced at the orange-haired girl behind him, and said respectfully to Dover. My lord, this woman turned out to be a cadre of the Arlong pirates. However, I have found out that she has been deceiving Arlong all the time, and actually just wants to save her village. Naturally, Dover had noticed the orange-haired girl a long time ago, and when he looked over, the orange-haired girl immediately trembled in fear. Dover shook his heart. Advertisement. Of course he knew this woman, who was the navigator of the Straw Hat Pirates in the original book, Nami. Because his hometown of Kokoja was occupied by Arlong, Nami had to join the Arlong group. Originally, she had to suffer at least another 4 or 5 years, but Bellamy's expansion unexpectedly saved her ahead of schedule. At this time, the only 2 female crew members of the Straw Hat group in the future were in Dover's hands. However, Dover did not pay much attention to Robin for Nami at this time. After all, Nami is just a navigator with great potential. Although very beautiful, it does not have much effect on Dover at the moment. Therefore, Dover only glanced at him faintly, then withdrew his gaze. Dover stayed in Arlong Paradise for a while, then dropped to Bellamy's knees, and took Robin away. Before leaving, he told Bellamy to let the little girl Nami learn more about sailing. Dover thought that this might be useful in the future. In addition, Dover also asked Bellamy to take care of Arlong, who was imprisoned. After all, Arlong was born on Mermaid Island, and Dover will go to the place where Poseidon exists sooner or later. After Dover left, he didn't mention how excited Bellamy was. All that said, Nami let out a long sigh of relief. Almost all of the shirt on his back was soaked. That tall and stalwart man who seemed to see through his whole body at a glance is really horrible. Nami felt that Arlong, who was terribly afraid of him before, was not even a dish in comparison with that man. What's more, Arlong had been defeated by Bellamy, who was afraid of breathing in front of the man. Nami sighed in his heart. Although Arlong had stepped down, her hometown fell into the hands of a terrifying man that she could not even imagine. Is the future a blessing or a curse? Nami was at a loss for a moment. Chapter 51. Go to Sky Island and reach the Sky's path to the universe, seeking collection, flowers and everything. Advertisement. Nami was confused and returned to Kokoyashi village. Because of Dover's words before he left, Bellamy believed that Lord Dover should have valued Nami's sailing ability, so he did not dare to embarrass Nami. Even Bellamy solved the misunderstanding with the village for Nami. The villagers in Kokoyashi village knew that the reason why Nami joined the Arlong group was to protect the village. Immediately, Nami became a little hero praised by everyone in Kokoyashi village. Looking at the villagers who used to speak badly to her, and the gratitude and apology in her eyes at this time, Nami suddenly felt an unprecedented emotion in her heart. She wants to cry loudly. She no longer needs to live in the hell of the past. Nami ran all the way and got home. The one who opened the house was a girl with short lilac hair, just as beautiful as Nami. Nami suddenly rushed into the girl's arms, and tears could no longer be contained. Nuauchigao already knows the recent changes in the village, and he also knows that Arlong, who oppressed Nami, is now a prisoner. She caressed the back of Korin in her arms lovingly, and said softly, everything is over, Nami. Dover returned to Alabasta and let Virgo eat Mara fruit. At the same time, he also blessed Virgo on the training time rewarded by the system these days. Virgo immediately began to retreat, and his strength increased dramatically. But Dover did not stay in Alabasta for too long. It's been a long time since he left Dressrosa, and it was time for the next move. When Dover left, Vivi, Alabasta's new queen, wandered on the coast for a long time, looking in the direction of Dover's departure, unwilling to leave. In Vivi's big sapphire eyes, tears surged, full of reluctance and nostalgia. She really wants to go with Brother Dover. Advertisement. As a result, she was a little jealous of Robin's fairy sister. But Vivi can't help it, she has to manage Alabasta, and more importantly, there is something. Vivi knew that Mingming was very important to Brother Dover. She made up her mind to make Mingming get better as soon as possible, and then went to see Brother Dover with Mingming. Dover didn't know that the little girl Vivi had been so obsessed with him, and he took Robin to a place called Guy Island. Bellamy once found the statue of Umbra Rolando here, and Dover subdued the villain with this. Today, Gaia Island has also been conquered by Bellamy and belongs to the sphere of influence of Donquixote family. However, Dover was not here to patrol the site. He had another place to go before returning to Dressrosa. The two came to a magical sea. The ocean current actually rushed to the sky against the current. Robin looked at the scene in front of him in surprise. She looked up along the thrusting ocean current, but she couldn't see the end of the ocean current. Could this lead to? Robin suddenly thought of a rumor, and his beautiful eyes turned to Dover on his side. Is this the ocean current going to Sky Island? Dover nodded slightly and said lightly, yes. Robin's pretty face is full of joy. Sky Island, I heard that there is also a piece of historical text there. Unexpectedly, this man still remembered that he had promised himself and was about to honor it so soon. Robin gave a pretty white look at the plain-faced man. Sometimes she felt that Dover was not so scary, even a little cute. Cute. Realizing that he was actually using this word to describe the man in front of him, Robin couldn't help but chuckle. Dover gave Robin a strange look. Although he knew everything, he didn't understand why Robin suddenly smiled so happy. After Robin smiled yin-yang, he asked, how are we going to get up? Such violent ocean currents can't be withstood by ordinary ships. But just after asking, Robin felt stupid. With this man here, what boat does he need? Sure enough, Dover didn't answer. He stretched out one hand and wrapped Robin's slender waist. Then the two of them soared into the air and flew into the sky. Advertisement. Robin has never been so close to a man. She quietly looked at the man's handsome face, arrogant eyebrows, and the corners of her mouth that was often evil and arrogant at that time, and suddenly there were strange ripples in her heart. Robin no longer feared Dover as she did at the beginning, but she still couldn't understand Dover. She felt that this man was really like a mystery, and she would never be able to guess what he was thinking. Robin leaned quietly against Dover's solid chest, an experience she had never had in 23 years. Really feel at ease, very practical. Robin thought this way. The two rose rapidly, and the ground became farther and farther away from them. Suddenly, Robin, who was leaning against Dover's arms, suddenly said, your sky's path seems to be able to fly where there are no clouds. Oh, did you find out? Dover's mouth twitched. You're lying, sometimes it doesn't seem to connect with clouds, but... Robin frowned, and said uncertainly, it's the sky far, far away. Dover couldn't help laughing. Robin's observation ability was always so sharp. It's really far away, but it's not the sky, it's the universe. Universe. When Robin heard this word for the first time, a scholar's peculiar lust for knowledge broke out in his beautiful eyes. What is that? It will take some time to reach Sky Island anyway, and Dover doesn't mind talking about astronomy and geography with the beauty, so he talks with Robin. It turns out that after Dover's cultivation, he can also move his thread-on objects in space just like Fujitora used to pull down meteorites in the original work. This also means that although the world is big, there is nowhere to stop Dover. Chapter 52 The Hard Network Fails, The Conceited Enel. Advertisement. Robin was fascinated by the universe described by Dover, wishing he could go up and take a look now. Dover smiled and said, the universe is not so easy to explore. Robin also understands this truth, and after a Yanran smile, he doesn't speak. The two finally arrived at Sky Island. There are many Sky Island, but Dover came up with the thrust current of Gaia Island, so he came here. Sky Island is where the Straw Hat crew in the original book came. Puff. Finally, after turning over a sea of clouds. Dover and Robin came to a strange land, where most of the clouds and mist condensed into a solid state, and people stepped on them as if they were the ground. But there are also thinner seas of clouds, just like the sea on land, and you can even swim. It's amazing. Robin's beautiful eyes admired. However, in Dover's eyes, this Sky Island is not just that simple. Dover also sensed a ubiquitous, densely packed grid-like thing. This power grid even wanted to invade the minds of the two Dover. Dover sneered, and a stern hockey burst from him. Immediately, whether it was the power grid or the surrounding clouds, everything disappeared like a mouse and a cat. At the same moment, Sky Island, a place called the Island of the Gods. The land here is the real soil. Among them is a shrine, inhabited by the rulers of Angel Island and Apayado, an extremely powerful god. This god came to Sky Island more than a year ago. He not only possesses the power like a god of thunder, but can even read people's hearts, and easily drove off the previous god, and the residents of Sky Island are even more afraid of him. Because, anyone who dared to arrange this god, no matter how far away or how low his voice, would be immediately punished and turned to ashes. The name of this god is Enel. At this time, Enel was lying lazily in the shrine, eating apples boredly. As a thunder fruit-capable person, his ability Sky Island is unmatched. Advertisement. With the unique conductivity of Observation Hockey and Raiden, his heart network is spread all over Sky Island, making no one dare to resist him. It can be said that Enel is indeed the only god in Sky Island. However, suddenly, this arrogant god sat up suddenly, his expression changed from his usual arrogance to a touch of surprise and solemnity. What happened, Master Enel? The 4 priests who were reporting to Enel about the construction plan of the Ark looked at Enel in surprise. The most powerful god in Sky Island's history has never shown such an expression. Enel's face was a little uncertain. Just now, he sensed that his heart network disappeared in a certain area of Sky Island. When he thought that the heart network was just accidental and wanted to continue to lay the heart network there, he found that his heart network connection was nearly impossible. What happened? This is the first time Enel has encountered this situation. But then, something even more shocking happened. The area where the heart network disappeared is expanding, and those areas can no longer be approached, as if they have become a forbidden place for some supreme existence. Huh, are you approaching me? Judging from the trajectory of the disappearing area of the heart network, Enel found that the holy man who had come from nowhere was coming to him. The gaff on Enel's face gradually turned into a sneer, although Shinwang couldn't get close to him, which surprised him. But Enel is extremely conceited about his own strength. He doesn't think anyone in this world is his opponent. Therefore, Enel lay on the seat of the gods again and said casually to the 4 priests, "A guest is here, you should go and meet him for me first." The 4 priests looked at each other. It seemed that there were enemies. Could it be those Shandias? Shandia, the aboriginal people of the Island of Gods. This Island of Gods, also called Apayado, is actually part of the original Gaia Island, which was washed up on Sky Island hundreds of years ago by a thrusting ocean current. Thinking of someone daring to challenge the gods, the priests immediately laughed cruelly, so let them torture the ignorant challenger first. Dover naturally knows that the power grid just now is actually Enel's heart network. He put his arms around Robin's slender waist and walked towards Enel's shrine. On the way, an old man riding a Pegasus stopped in front of them. Advertisement. Stop. The front is the realm of God, no one can approach it. The old man is in armor and holding a silver gun. His man is the previous god of Sky Island, Ganfer. Because he knows the power of Enel well, he stays here all year round to stop those young people who challenge Enel with a bloody bravery. However, Ganfer was a little surprised at this moment. He looked at the strange man and woman in front of him. He recognized that Dover and Robin were not from Angel Island, nor were they from Sandia. They probably came from the Blue Sea. But no matter where they were, he couldn't let them go to death. However, what made Ganfer's suspicion was that when he looked at the man, he couldn't help but be frightened, and faintly produced a feeling even more terrifying than Enel. Is it an illusion? Ganfer then shook his head bitterly. How could there be someone more terrifying and stronger than Enel in this world? Dover looked at the old man in front of the road. Are you Gamford? He was vaguely impressed by the old man. Ganfer was shocked. The other party actually called out his name in one go. Could it be that the other party would also have a heart net? In surprise, 4 unexpected guests suddenly appeared in the distance. They were the 4 priests of Enel. Ganfer's face changed drastically. Before he could think about it, he said loudly to Dover and Robin, "Come on, it's the priests, I'll stop them." Even though he said that, Ganfer knew that the 4 priests were dispatched together, and there was probably no one to stop the entire Sky Island. Even if it's oneself, it's impossible. I said, who is the guest mentioned by Master Enel? It turned out to be you, the bereaved dog, Lord God. The 4 god-tier officials laughed loudly when they saw Ganfer. Afterwards, they glanced at Dover and Robin casually, and sneered, "I also brought 2 young people who live and die. Ganfer, do you think you are too lonely to die alone?" Ha 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 ha. The 4th god-tier officer laughed loudly. Ganfer's face rose like purple, but there was nothing to do. Robin had an expression of watching the show. The 4 of them dared to speak to the man next to them like this. They were so bold. Dover's expression hasn't changed a bit from beginning to end. How can the ants' clamor affect the high gods? I saw Dover flashing his sleeves slightly, a wave of unparalleled hockey, blatantly bombarding the 4 god-tier officials. The 4 god-tier officials, like being hit by a mountain, flew out involuntarily at the same time, accompanied by an indifferent voice that seemed to come from 9 days. Noisy. Go back and let Enel come to see me. Asterisk. Chapter 53 Ignorant people dare to call God. Advertisement. Go back and let Enel come to see me. The indifferent, vast and majestic voice has broken the hearts and minds of the 4 god-tier officials. It also made Ganfer, who was originally anxious, his face like purple, stood still on the spot, like petrified. At the same time, Enel, who was inside the shrine, suddenly felt uneasy. When the 4 god-tier officials returned to the shrine with fear, Enel finally could no longer stand up calmly. How dare you let me see him? Good, good, Enel glared, and since he ate thunder fruit, no one had dared to speak to him like this. The god wants to see, where is that person sacred? The next moment, Enel turned into a thunder and shot towards Dover's place. It took a long time for Ganfer to react from the shock, and he said with a dry throat. I don't know your lord, but it came from Shanghai. Ganfer can be sure that there is absolutely no such powerhouse in Sky Island. Robin smiled and said, yes. I heard that Sky Island has a piece of history here. Does the old man know where it is? History text. They actually came to find the historical text. Ganfer remembered that many years ago, a group of people came looking for that thing, and he asked, "Do you know Roger?" Robin was surprised. "You also know One Piece Roger, he has been here too." Ganfer told the story of Roger and his team coming to Sky Island, which made Robin more interested in the historical text of Sky Island. For this, Dover knew about it a long time ago. However, he came to Sky Island not only to fulfill his promise to Robin and to find the text of history, he also had two purposes. One is the thunder fruit capable person, Enel, the second is the Sky Island itself. Since Gaia Island hundreds of years ago can stay on this Sky Island for such a long time, it is enough to show that the density of the sea of clouds here can completely withstand a small island. In this way, the Punk Hazard and Smile factories, which Dover has been thinking about for a long time, have the most secret place to build. Building the Smile factory on Sky Island and even moving the entire Punk Hazard to Sky Island is the biggest goal of Dover's trip. Advertisement. At this time, after Ganfer and Robin talked about Roger, he immediately said without concealing concern on his face. "My lord from Shanghai, although you are extremely powerful, the god Enel." Thinking of Enel's horror, Ganfer couldn't help his heart palpitations. Even though he saw a scene where Dover easily crushed 4 god-tier officials, Enel was far from comparable to the priests. Enel's ability to control thunder, coupled with Shinet's ability to read the mind, could not think of anyone who could defeat him. Perhaps Roger could do it many years ago. But the man in front of him is not Roger. Ganfer was about to persuade the two of them to leave before Enel, but a voice quickly approached from a distance. "Yahahaha, who am I to be? It turns out to be you, Ganfuer. However, although my 4 priests are all rubbish, they cannot be defeated by you. It seems that the 2 Qinghai people did it." Bar. A flash of lightning revealed a man with a naked upper body, a white turban, and 4 3-hook jade drums carved on his back. It was Enel. As soon as Enel appeared, Ganfer took a few steps backwards in amazement, apparently he was terrified of Enel. Enel sneered at Ganfer, then at Robin, and fixed his gaze on Dover. "It's you, that made my heart net invalid. It's also you, defeating my 4 priests." Enel's always sloppy face showed a rare deep color. At such a close distance, his heart network still can't penetrate the other party, and he can't even get close, which shows that this person is definitely not easy. There is absolutely no such strong man on Sky Island. Looking at their costumes, they must come from the Qinghai Sea. HMPH, the Qinghai people of damn it. Enel made up his mind to let these 2 Qinghai people know how good he was. He raised the golden trident that he had put on his body, facing Dover, proudly said, You are a little bit powerful, what's your name?" "My god doesn't kill unknown people." Seeing Enel saying such things as soon as they met, Robin couldn't help but wonder, are everyone on Sky Island so arrogant? However, since this person is called a god, and the old man Ganfer is so afraid, he should also be a very strong person. But despite thinking this way, Robin didn't even think that Enel would be stronger than Dover. In the subconscious, she had already regarded Dover as an omniscient, even omnipotent person. "Say, what's your name?" Seeing that Dover hadn't responded for a long time, he looked at him with a lofty, playful look, and the woman beside him did not show even a slight look of fear. Advertisement. Enel, who is accustomed to being awed and feared by others, can't help being extremely angry, especially Dover's jokes in his eyes, making him furious. "Okay, I will let you go to hell together." Enel immediately took the golden trident in his hand and knocked the drum on his back. The thunder and lightning sounded. A big thunder bird emerged from the drum. Enel grinned. "Feel God's sanction. 30 million volts Thunderbird." The Thunderbird made a long and sharp howl and flew towards Dover and Robin at extremely fast speed. "No, hide." Gonfuer's old face was extremely pale, and his voice couldn't help trembling. Robin, who was leaning against Dover's arms, looked at the Thunderbird that was emitting a dazzling light that made her eyes hard to open, and said in surprise. "The power of thunder and lightning. Is it a Logia thunder fruit capable person?" Although his tone of voice was surprised, Robin's expression was extremely calm, as if the person who would be hit by a 30 million volt Thunderbird in the next moment was not her. "It's thunder fruit indeed." Dover, who had not spoken much, spoke at this moment. There was still joking in his eyes, and the corners of his mouth also evoked a playful arc. Unfortunately, the person who ate it was an ignorant fool. Such a person would dare to call it a god. While speaking, Dover slowly reached out a palm. The moment Thunderbird was about to hit him and Robin, he grabbed Thunderbird by the neck. The Thunderbird, which was supposed to be purely composed of thunder and lightning, had no entity, but at this time, it was stuck in its throat like a real sparrow, struggling frantically, but couldn't even make a sound. Immediately afterwards, in Ganfer's horrified gaze, Enel's unbelievable wide eyeballs, and Robin's curiously looking beautiful eyes, Dover's big slender hand pressed hard. Click. The Thunderbird suddenly fell apart like a broken mirror, and disappeared into form in a blink of an eye. Asterisk. Chapter 54 Enel is furious, in Thor form. Advertisement. Impossible. How could my Thunderbird? Enel's eyes were almost staring down. All along, his thunder and lightning have been unprofitable. Everyone who was touched by his thunder and lightning uttered a scream of hissing lungs. What's more, the Thunderbird he just issued was a powerful move of up to 30 million volts. Why can you touch my Thunderbird? Why does my Thunderbird not work? Enel stared at Dover firmly, the scene just now made him unable to understand. Gonfuer also made no secret of his astonishment. How could someone crush Enel's Thunderbird with his bare hands? Before putting it, he must think this is a fantasy. Only Robin took it for granted. Thunder, Thunderbird. In front of this man, what's the deal? Hume. Dover let out a deep sneer. Enel, you who are immersed in the power of thunder fruit, blindly dream of becoming a god. But you don't know how big this world is. You don't even know hockey. The hard net built. Hehehehe, for an idiot like you, give me thunder fruit. What are you talking about? Enel, who was so despised by Dover, who had always been arrogant and self-righteous, became angry almost instantly. No one has ever dared to look down upon him so much. Enel almost lost his mind, his eyes were splitting, and he gritted his teeth and said. I am a god. I must let you know the fate of offending God. Next moment, Enel used the golden trident to hit the 4 big drums on his back in succession. Advertisement. Buzzing. More power of thunder and lightning began to roar. Numerous tiny electric snakes surged, and finally gathered together to form a thunder dragon the size of 1,000 feet. 60 million volt thunder dragon. Enel roared wildly and directed thunder dragon to rush towards Dover violently. The ridicule at the corner of Dover's mouth became wider. In his eyes, Enel is just a stupid person who can simply release thunder and lightning. His physical skills are extremely rubbish. Without the hard network, he can't even beat Luffy, who hasn't learned second gear. Enel thought he would be invincible with the help of Thunderbolt and hard net, and he never practiced physique and hockey at all. It was a waste of thunder fruit, the powerful Logia fruit. Thunder Dragon arrived in front of him in a blink of an eye, and Dover took Robin's smooth and slender waist with one hand, and suddenly disappeared in place. Thunder Dragon plunged into the air. Humph. Enel saw that the opponent didn't pinch his hand again this time, thinking that Thunder Dragon Dover could not take it, so he was not surprised, and kept sending out Thunder Dragon and bombarding Dover. But soon, his face was hard to look. He found that the speed of his Thunder Dragon couldn't keep up with Dover. In the past, he would use the hard network to predict the opponent's next move. But in the face of Dover, the hard network didn't play a role at all. On the contrary, Enel still has a strange feeling, the other party seems to be able to predict his actions. In fact, Enel's feeling is not wrong. Conqueror's hockey has cultivated to the great Dover, seeing and hearing colors are naturally far superior to Enel. All of Enel's attacks, movements, and even thoughts are under Dover's control. It's my turn, too. Bullet string. Just as Enel was furious and frustrated, a creepy voice sounded from behind him. Almost the next moment, Enel felt a piercing pain in his back. What? Enel let out a scream and fell from the air to the ground. Advertisement. It hurts. It hurts me. After eating thunder fruit, Enel has never suffered any harm in so many years. Therefore, he has no ability to bear the pain, not to mention the pain that pierced into the bones like this. Enel rolled on the ground in pain. In fact, only a bullet string Dover was used, standing in the air, like a real god, looking down at the ants falling into the mortal world. It's pitiful to scream like this. Robin in his arms said calmly. And Gonfure on the other side was so shocked that he didn't know what to say. He never imagined that Enel, who seemed impossible to defeat by any means in his old days, would be hit by that man casually, and it would become like this. Although he is not Roger, he is stronger than Roger. Ganfur thought shockingly in his heart. At the time when Roger arrived at Sky Island, he did not have the strength of Dover at this time. Moreover, even Roger in the period of subversion, the strength of the two is unknown. The screams gradually ceased. Enel, who was rolling on the ground, finally reacted. He was embarrassed just now. His face turned savage to ultimate, and his killing intent was even more turbulent to ultimate. He wants to kill everyone here. He is a god. No one can see God's embarrassment. Enel looked up to the sky and roared, and finally, he also urged Thunder Fruit's ability to his ultimate. 200 million volts Thor. The electric current surging wildly around Enel, the dazzling light of thunder and lightning flashed, even Robin couldn't help but close his eyes slightly. The next moment, a white thunder giant tens of meters high suddenly appeared in the air. It is Enel's strongest move, the form of Thor. Chapter 55 Ruthlessly Obliterate, Alloy Wire and Puppet Wire. Advertisement. Thor, formed by 200 million volts, is really extraordinary and looks quite horrible. Enel, who was transformed into Thor, also soared again. He stared at Dover fiercely and laughed wildly. No matter who you are, let lousy die by lightning today. As soon as the voice fell, Enel sent out a huge lightning pillar of 200 million volts. Where the thunder pillar passed, it seemed that even the air had a white mark. This kind of power, even if Dover insists, will not be safe. Unfortunately, Enel's actions were too clumsy. If he can practice the physical skills hockey to a certain level, and at the same time make the release of thunder and lightning more precise and fast, then his strength will be no less than 4 Emperor's Admiral. But there is no if. Enel relies too much on Thunder Fruit's own power and ignores everything else. In Dover's eyes, he is destined to be just like a 3-year-old baby holding a nuclear bomb. Dover looked indifferently at the 200 million volts pillar close at hand. With a sudden movement, he easily crossed the pillar and came to Enel's eyes. Under the coverage of Dover's observation hockey, which is far beyond Enel, any attack by Enel is meaningless to him. Alloy wire. In Enel's wide-open eyes, Dover lifted a finger, and a millimeter-level thin line shot out from the fingertip. Enel was shocked. Although he couldn't see what attack Dover was using, an ultimate danger surged into his heart. At the moment, Enel moved at the moment and blocked his chest with a golden trident. Clang. With a harsh metal crash, the golden trident just blocked Dover's line. Enel was overjoyed, letting him run into a dead mouse. He looked at Dover in front of him with a look of sorrow in his eyes. At such a close distance, he didn't believe that the other party could escape his lightning strike. Just when Enel was full of confidence, ready to attack Dover with the maximum volt discharge. Advertisement. Suddenly, a crisp sound came from his chest. Enel stayed for a while, and then felt a heartache that was several times stronger than before. Only then did he discover that the opponent's attack actually smashed his own golden trident and entered his body. Impossible, that is a weapon made of gold. Enel couldn't understand, what was the other side's invisible attack, actually harder than gold? No wonder Enel couldn't figure out that the alloy wire used by Dover at the moment was a new technique he developed in his practice. After continuous compression and decomposition, the internal structure of this wire has changed. It is harder than gold and diamond and can no longer be regarded as an ordinary wire. Therefore, Dover named it alloy wire. After being hit by the alloy wire in the chest, Enel was so painful that he lost consciousness for a while. Dover didn't have room for him to react. This kind of boring battle that was not on the same level was also time to end. Dover's 5 fingers stretched out, and 10 sharp spirals descended from the sky. Dropping ruffian string, the thin spiral thread penetrated Enel's torso and limbs, nailing it deeply to the ground. Enel, who was hit hard by this kind of damage, directly withdrew from Thor's state, and his body curled up into a ball because of the severe pain. What the supreme god, what the ark, what the ultimate dream of going to the infinite land, Enel can't remember all at this time, he only knows how to scream, his nose and tears are all over his face. Seeing Enel, who was originally arrogant and invincible, became such a shape in a blink of an eye, Ganfer sighed secretly, and then looked at Dover with awe. This person is not only stronger than Roger's time, but the methods are also more decisive and ruthless. Such a person is the truly terrifying existence. Dover didn't have much expression on his face, his expression was indifferent, and with a wave of one hand again, countless dense thin threads flew out. Puppet line. The densely packed thin threads drilled in from Enel's 7 orifices and even the skin, and entered Enel's heart, brain, and various nerve-transmitting centers. Advertisement. Soon, Enel could no longer scream, his eyes became extremely dull, his expression dumbfounded, as if he were a dead person. However, such a dead man stood up automatically and walked behind Dover. These unpredictable and weird methods made Ganfer tremble all over. Suddenly, he remembered that when he first saw Dover, the throbbing sensation of his heart was truly incomparably correct. Hey, it's like a manipulated doll. It's too miserable, Robin said with a feeling of emotion, and said in a calm tone, is he dead? Dover felt a little funny about Robin's black belly recently, and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. No, but it's no different from being dead. The puppet thread that Dover just used is a more advanced control method than the parasite string, and it completely controls the brain, heart, and various nerve centers. The most important thing is that the puppet line can not only fully control the controlled person, but can even use the original ability of the controlled person. Moreover, Dover can also modify the body of the controlled person by wire, making it stronger than when he has autonomous consciousness. It can be said that for every more capable person controlled by the puppet line, Dover is equivalent to an additional devil fruit ability. But ordinary capable people are of little use to Dover today. Up to now, he has only taken a fancy to Enel's thunder fruit. In any case, this ability is already terrifying. I thought Robin would be more or less shocked, but he didn't expect Robin to suddenly say. I heard that when a person dies, the metabolism will stop, and all kinds of bacteria will grow. He won't stink, right? As he said, he slapped his nose, and his body deliberately moved a little further away from Dover, as if he really smelled something stinky. Dover couldn't help being stunned by Robin's sudden words, and immediately reacted, viciously holding the latter's graceful and slender waist, and said domineeringly, if you want to smell, you have to smell together with me.